resistance.
There was a time when the highest court in the land said some children born here could never belong here. Then came a war, then came an amendment, then came a promise written in the ashes. All persons born, all persons free, all persons standing under the same Constitution. They tried to draw a border through a baby's first breath, tried to hang a question mark where a birthright should be kept. But this country made a promise after blood had soaked the clay, that no judge, no king, no president could take that truth away. From the courthouse shade to the battlefield flame, a nation had to answer what it meant to claim a name. Born in the USA, not by fortune, not by fame, not by money, blood, or prayer. The Constitution says we share one flag, one law, one equal claim. No one gets erased away. Born in the USA, that's the promise we defend today. Woo! They said Dred Scott had no standing, no future, and
no another big day
said
today.
freedom had no doorway for the children of his name. But the people rose from ruin with a sentence carved in stone. All persons born or naturalized are citizens of their home. Not a favor from the powerful, not a gift from any throne. It was written for the children who were told they stood alone. Born in the USA, not by fortune, not by fame, not by money, blood, or prayer. The Constitution says we share one flag, one law, one equal claim. No one gets erased away. Born in the USA, that's the promise we defend today. Wong Kim Art came home to Frisco, and they tried to lock the gate. Said his parents weren't Americans, so he couldn't make that claim. But the court read out the promise, and the answer rang back clear. If you're
This one's 5.5, and we're about a minute 2 left.
born beneath this Constitution, you belong right here. This is not a loophole. This is not a game. This is not some favor from a man who brands his name. It was forged from Reconstruction, from the graves we cannot see, from the people once denied it, so their children would be free. Born in the USA, not by fortune, not by fame, not by money, blood, or prayer. The Constitution says we share one flag, one law, one equal claim. No one gets erased away. Born in the USA, that's the promise we defend tonight. Right in the courthouse, right in the sky, right where our children will never have to ask why. Born beneath this banner, born beneath these stars. The Constitution knows your name before the politics starts. So when they come for children with a pen and polished lie, say the 14th still is standing like a torch against the sky. We inherited the promise, now we carry it ahead. For the living, for the newborn, for the honored, nameless dead. Born in the USA, not by fortune, not by fame, not by money, blood, or prayer. The Constitution says we share one flag, one law, one equal claim. No one gets erased away. Born in the USA, that's the promise we defend today. Born here, free here, equal here, standing here. Born in the USA, and nobody gets erased away.
Okay, that's the first one. About 4 minutes.
They call it hate, cause they're afraid of the people they betrayed. We march with hearts that still believe in the promises they now unweave. They wave the flag and twist the truth, sell our future, steal our youth. But the streets now hum with liberty's song, for we've been quiet way too long. We dissent for the dream they sold and broke, for every word the liars spoke. We dissent for the truth they twist and bend. We won't let the story end. We dissent for the love of this land, not their greed, not their command. We dissent cause freedom's not their toy, and we won't let them destroy. They weaponize the law like kings, turn justice into puppet strings. They say be silent and stay in line, while they rob the public blind. But courage don't come from a throne, it lives in voices not their own. The power's ours, it always was, and we'll rise again because we dissent for the flag they claim to own, for the truth that we've outgrown. We dissent for the rights they try to kill, for the fire that burns still. We dissent for the soldiers, teachers, kin, for the fight we're still within. We dissent not out of hate but care, for the soul that's still out there. They can smear, they can sneer, but the people persevere. Every chant, every sign is America in its prime. From Selma to Stonewall to today, our dissent is the American way. We dissent for the light they dim with lies, for the hope they demonize. We dissent for the heart of the free, for what it means to we the people, not me. We stand, we shout, we pray, till justice has its day. We dissent, and we will not relent, cause loving freedom means we dissent. Cause loving freedom means we dissent. Cause loving America means we dissent.
All right, that's number 2. I got 2 more. That's it. 2 6-minute ones. Go. We got a long show ahead again. Another big show.
Free. They can come to me for free?
That's right. SafeLight can.
We held these truths to be self-evident. That all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights. Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. 250 years have passed since those words were written by candlelight on a summer night in Philadelphia. The ink has long since dried, but the dream is still very much alive. From the mountains to the prairies, from the rivers to the shore, there's a flag that flies above us like it never flew before. Red and white and blue forever, Old Glory in the wind. 250 years of freedom, and she's rising up again.
From the farmer in the heartland to the teacher in the town, from the mother holding babies to the ones who won't back down.
We are every dream and struggle, every hand that built this land. Born beneath these stars and stripes forever, united here we stand. Born in America, land of the brave and
one
the
more
free.
6 minutes after this.
Stars and stripes forever.
Oh, glory, she still flies for you and me.
Through the trials and the triumphs, through the darkness and the dawn,
We are one nation under God Almighty, 250 years strong. God bless America. To the Army on the front lines, to the Navy on the sea,
to the Marines who storm the beaches, fighting to keep us free.
to the Air Force in the heavens, to the Coast Guard on the shore.
Let us know how it goes.
To our National Guard here at home,
We are grateful to the core. You wore the uniform with honor. You answered freedom's call.
you are the reason Old Glory's flying.
You are the greatest of us all. We may not always see eye to eye. We may not always agree. But when we stand
Okay, we're halfway. I got one more 6-minute one.
beneath that banner, we stand as one country.
From the mountains to the coastlines, from the north down to the south,
Let the bells of freedom ring out. Let the truth ring from our mouths. One nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
born in America,
Born in America,
the brave and the free,
stars and stripes,
and stripes forever.
Old Glory, she still flies for you and me. Through the trials and the triumphs, through the darkness and the dawn, we are one nation under God Almighty, 250 years strong. God bless America,
God bless America,
land that we love.
stand beside her and guide her.
From the heavens above,
America the beautiful,
250 years.
and still going strong.
God bless America.
God bless America.
This is our home. This is our song.
250 years ago, they dreamed of something the world had never seen. A place where every person matters. Where freedom isn't given, it's earned.
Where the flag doesn't just fly.
It means something. Happy 250 years.
America. We are still here.
And we are still free.
And we are still free.
One more 6 minutes, and we got another great show coming towards us today. We got only 1 hour show, and the rest 15-20 minutes, and then all little small short ones. A lot of good ones today again. But it's Captain Kyle and Holly for an hour. We got a big one last night. It froze on me again. Ah, darn it. Hang on, they got it frozen on me again. I guess I gotta wait a couple minutes. One more here. Six minutes. Thanks, finally go. Last one.
I've worn the night like a coat on my back, carried my guilt like a chain, ran from the light down 1,000 roads, still somehow you knew my name. I was the last one through the back door, head down, too ashamed to stay. Failed every stair in the house of God, so I stood where the shadows lay. Had dust on my boots, regretting my chest. In a past I could not outrun. I knew the prayers, but I lost the words, and I feared what I had become. I had Sunday truth from my mama's lips, and Saturday pain in my veins. A heart full of noise, a soul warm thin, and a mind like a storm in chains. I told myself I was too far gone, too stained to be made clean, but mercy kept walking that broken road to places I'd never been seen. When I was tired of fighting, too weak to fake being strong, right there in the wreckage, your love kept singing on. God didn't give up on me when I was running wild and falling to my knees. When my faith was smoke and my hands were empty, your mercy still reached through the dark for me. I let go of hope, I was too blind to see just how far your grace would go to set me free. I was lost in the ruin I made of me, but God, you didn't give up on me. There were nights in the glow of a dashboard light with heaven feeling so far away. I talked to the dog like it knew my name.
And we got 4 minutes.
Just trying to survive till day. I had goodbyes, bad deals, and 1,000 scars, and a soul that was tired of lies. But somewhere beneath all the damage done was a man still reaching for life. Then one slow prayer broke through my pride like rain through a rusted roof. Not loud, not clean, not polished at all, just pain and a need for truth. And you met me there in my trembling mess. Didn't turn when you saw my shame. You called me son through the tears and dirt, like love had been waiting unchanged. When I was done pretending to want to stand on my own, right there in the silence, you said I was still your own. God didn't give up on me when I was running wild and falling to my knees. When my faith was smoke and my hands were empty, your mercy still reached through the dark for me. I let go of hope, I was too blind to see just how far your grace would go to set me free. I was lost in the ruin I made of me, but God, you didn't give up on me. You didn't give up on me. Oh, you saw beyond the failure, beyond the prison in my mind, beyond the stains, beyond the fear, beyond the wasted time. You stood there in the ashes where I thought love could never be. And when I could not hold on, your nail-scarred hands kept holding me. I'm not standing here because I was strong. I'm here because you stayed. I'm not singing this because I found my way. I'm singing because you made one through the grave, and every wound that used to say that I was too far gone to save now points me to the living proof that grace can raise what shame and laid. God didn't give up on me when I was out of prayers and almost out of breath to breathe, when I had nothing left but a heart in pieces. Your mercy kept calling the prodigal in me. I let go of hope, I was too blind to see just how deep your love would reach to rescue me. Now I stand in the light that found me in the deep. Thank God you didn't give up on me. Oh, no, you didn't give up on me. Through every scar and every memory, I'm still here, and that's my testimony. God didn't give up on me.
Okay, God bless America and all the U.S. military, past and the future, and first responders, our best president ever, and first lady, and everything else. Hopefully the movie will be over soon, or something will happen soon, we hope. All right, so that was the music for the USA music stuff, anthem and all that. Well, actually, we didn't do it, we just did the music stuff. But yeah, what a show yesterday, you guys. What a show. We had a great views. Just about 300. YouTube's messing with my numbers. So today I got Captain Kyle and Holly Had an hour last night, and I found some other great ones, 15, 10-minute ones, and all the short ones are good too. That's why I came out early today at 1, because I want to get done by 6, because watch my baseball games. So when I have a big show, I'll come on early. Maria, what a show last yesterday, huh? Mel was another great video from Mel. So the first 5 minutes, I'm gonna read and show a couple of photos I got of our first lady photo shot there I got. Yep. This one's gonna be good too. We got Holly and Captain Kyle. And a lot of great ones I found. So I'm gonna read what do you call it? Quote statements or published statement of Marco Rubio had a letter. I'm gonna read it all. I'll try my best at reading. I haven't read in a while, so KK, are you working? Lucy must be working. Working. Hi, Mom. Don't stay up too late tonight. I heard you were past your bedtime, Mom. That's Lucy's mom. So, I'm going to see how I can do this. Shoot. So, the top, I hope she heard what I just said, Lucy. So, how did he find that out? So, this is, well, it's a letter. Hang on. So, it's a new letter. Marco Rubio put out a new report on the Cuba and holy crap. Holy crap. It won't take long to read. Okay, it says, Andrew, you made it. Captain Kyle's our big video today. And Holly. Okay, the first, this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. articles I'm going to read. It won't take long. Okay, we got Cuba's invisible invasion, 70 years of spies, bombs, and the quiet war to turn America against itself. For nearly 7 decades, Communist Cuba has run a I can't pronounce the word, low profile campaign of espionage, terrorism support, and skip that, aimed at the United States. The document portrays Havana not as distant failed state, but as the operational heart of the long war designed to weaken America from the inside right next door. Spies in the highest correlators of power. Cuba agents of LJ penetrated the State Department, National Security Council, the Pentagon, and the deepest levels, some operations undetected for decades. One agent rose to senior National Security Council roles and even became a U.S. ambassador. He was secretly working for HAVANA for roughly 50 years. Victor Manuel ROCHA. He was recruited by the Cuban intelligence in 1973 while living in Chile. Over the following decades, he rose through the U.S. foreign policy ranks, serving as director of Inter-American Affairs on the National Security Council and later as a U.S. ambassador to BOLIVIA. He worked for the H word again for roughly 50 years. Another was the Defense Intelligence Agency top Cuba expert named Ana Matas, whatever that name is, revealing secrets, including the identities of undercover officers back to the island. A third State Department official named Walter Kendall Myers spied for nearly 30 years and personally met Fidel Castro. The report suggests these high-profile cases are only the visible tip of a much larger network. Fueling violence on America's streets. HAVANA is directly named in the report for recruiting, training, and backing radical groups that carried out waves of attacks inside the United States. The report connects Cuban supporters to organize behind roughly 2,500 bombings on U.S. soil in just 2 years during the early 1970s. Because Cuba could never match American military power head-on, it perfectly a different approach using proxy, PROXIS. Safe havens for fugitives and sabotage the wage of war of ATTR ITION. I don't know. Okay. Got one. Just about halfway. Turning Americans against their own country. From the early 1960s onward, Cuba built a system pipeline to recruit and radicalize Americans. It funded their early U.S. support groups, hosted thousands of young activists on the island through organized bridges, and staged major international conferences that spread a new brand of revolutionary ideology. Can't pronounce the word. Focus on racial and social governance agreements. The report claims this fracture helped shape a generation of activists, influenced politicians and universities, and left lasting fingerprints for later movements and campus unrest. Okay, I think I'm at the last part. Last part, guys. The post-Soviet Command Center. After the Soviet Union collapsed, Cuba's version of communism, less about classic class struggles and more about third worldism. An identity-based revolt survived and expanded. The island is described as an ongoing intelligence and influence operation whose real focus remains to disrupt the United States. It currently hosts significant Chinese and Russian listening posts capable of monitoring the southeastern U.S. while continuing to serve as a hub for a radical network across the hemisphere. Last paragraph. Taken as a whole, the report presents Cuba as a quote architect of a multi-generational sting spies in Washington, bombs in American cities, activists on Kansas, and IDEOLGY designed to turn the United States against itself. All directed from just 90 miles away. Rubio just busted this wide open. The report is huge, and recommending taking time to read it all, understand how bad it really is. How did I do, you guys? Ugh. I thought that was an important one to get out. Well, I got a couple photos I'm going to share. So what is this photo here of our First Lady here? Why she's wearing... Hey, Lori, just in time. I just read a big report from Marco Rubio. I hope I read it okay. So it begins the final countdown. I believe that's all the photos I got for now. I'm going to start off just getting everything lined up. Our only hour video we got is Holly and Captain Kyle. No Billy Bean yet. Okay, let's see this one. 5 minutes. Play this one or not. You guys remember this one?
We are anonymous. The entire U.S. presidential election is nearing an explosive crisis over a secretly made Israeli intelligence video recording showing former President Bill Clinton raping a 13-year-old girl that Hillary Clinton has kept hidden from public knowledge with help from the American propaganda mainstream media. but by her embroiling Donald Trump in her husband's sex crimes now threatens it being released. The video recording of Bill Clinton raping this 13-year-old girl was engineered by Israel's Institute for Intelligence and Special Operations clothing shop network, whose main facilitator is the international money man of mystery, Jeffrey Epstein, and who is now being called the billionaire pedophile who could bring down Hillary Clinton. The clothing shop network was originated in the early 1980s by one of the most secretive billionaires in America named Leslie Wexner, and whose father, Harry Wexner, changed from Hagen Wexelstein, immigrated to the United States in the late 1930s from the Jewish Autonomous Oblast, former Soviet Union. The clothing shop network name itself was derived from Leslie Wexner being one of America's top clothers and who owns the US-based fashion retailers L Brands and Victoria's Secret. In 1982, Wexner recruited Jeffrey Epstein into the clothing shop network by providing him with an estimated $1 billion to establish a private financial firm named J. Epstein and Company, and that Wexner remains the firm's biggest and the only publicly known client. The true purpose of J. Epstein and Company was to allow Jeffrey Epstein to operate within the society circles of America's political elites, and once ensnaring his victims, he allowed them to fulfill their most deviant sexual fantasies, while at the same time secretly video recording them for the purpose of blackmail. Epstein's blackmail victims included many members of Americans and Britain's elites, but with his largest catch being former President Bill Clinton, who was revealed by recently released flight logs revealed to have flown on Epstein's private jet named the Lolita Express to the secluded sex toyland Caribbean island run by Epstein 26 times, while ditching his Secret Service protectors, and his failing to notice that this band of sin was wired with hidden cameras secretly recording his orgies with underage girls, with Bill Clinton's having had sex with young girls, and Hillary Clinton being advised by the clothing shop network that they had the secretly recorded videos proving it. She then masterminded a plot to set up Donald Trump as a straw man to be her opponent, and as emails prove, and was aided in this effort by America's mainstream media, who gave to the New York City billionaire builder an estimated $3 billion in free media advertising, so that he could become the Republican Party candidate for president. The Hillary Clinton email proving this plot shows her and her accomplices conspiring to set up Donald Trump as their Pied Piper candidate, with some of them suggesting that Senator Ted Cruz or Dr. Ben Carson could, likewise, be set up too. Why Hillary Clinton and her accomplices selected Donald Trump to be their strawman Pied Piper was due to his knowing Jeffrey Epstein too, but who, unlike Bill Clinton, Prince Andrew, and others who engaged in sex with young girls on Orgy Island, never committed these grave crimes, and as attested by Miami police detective Mike Fiston, who investigated Epstein's many crimes and stated that in hundreds of interviews with hundreds of witnesses, no one has ever identified Trump as being involved in any kind of sexual activity with underage girls. In fact, Detective Fiston recalls learning in the early 2000s that members of Trump's private Palm Beach club, Mar-a-Lago, complained that Epstein was often accompanied by very young girls, a different girl every week, each of whom he would refer to as his niece, with Hillary Clinton and her accomplices believing they had neutralized Donald Trump by his merely knowing Epstein. However, in their further belief that the avalanche of scandals surrounding Trump would cause his campaign to collapse upon itself, this New York City billionaire, instead, has defied all normal logic and is nearing winning the U.S. presidency. In a last-chance bid to destroy Donald Trump, Hillary Clinton and her accomplices have now paid off a number of Bill Clinton's rape victims to change their story, saying that Trump had raped them, the details of which are contained in a U.S. federal court filing making these absurd allegations, with Hillary Clinton having already proven she will kill to protect the public from knowing of her husband's crimes against young girls, and from the next event in this most dangerous of games will be determined by Clothing Shop Network. And if the past is a predictor of the future, knowing how the Israelis work to keep their nation safe, someone will surely die before this played itself out. We are anonymous.
Hey, that was a nice guy. Got another important one, number 11 minutes. Get all the good ones out first. Anybody see this one?
I want to share something that's been on my heart. When I hear the words, the Great Awakening,
I can't remember. I did that
I
yesterday
think about
or the day
more than just
before.
becoming aware of all the lies that happened around us. I think about a moment when a person wakes up and starts looking within, a moment when we start asking deeper questions. Who am I? Why am I even here? What is God asking me to do with the life He gave me? Great Awakening 136. Maybe this is the first step. A willingness to seek, a willingness to listen, a willingness to ask God to reveal what He has placed inside of you. Because every single person He created,
What do you think
He
of this one?
created with such purpose. He gave every single person special gifts. Every person has a story that can be used to bring light into someone else's life. Why do you think He made so many of us? And He made us all unique. Babe, you are awake, 136. Not just awake to all the lies in the world, but awake to your own heart, to your own faith. Awake to the calling that God placed in your life. There comes a moment where each of us has to make a choice. Will I stay comfortable? Will I stay quiet? Or will I have the courage to step forward in faith? For me, that moment was saying, here I am. I self-identified 136. Geez, not because I had everything figured out. I never thought I would be doing any of this, but because He led me. It wasn't because I knew exactly where the journey would lead. I just listened because something deep within my heart kept whispering, trust me, I've got this. I've got you. So I did. I chose to answer His call. God's gentle call, 136. And maybe that is what God is asking from each one of us. Just answer. Just say, what do you need me to do? Not in perfection, not in having every answer, not in knowing every turn before we take the first step. All He's asking for is a willing heart, a heart that says, God, I trust you. God, guide me. God, use me. Because sometimes the greatest act of faith is simply surrendering to Him. Surrendering our fear, surrendering our need to have control of every single thing, surrendering our plans and allowing God to lead. It's God's plan, 136. Brothers and sisters, this journey is not just about one person. It's not about one voice. It's about every single one of us recognizing that we all have a role to play. We're all going to play a role in this movie. The I Am Awake Team, 136. The question is not, am I important enough? The question is, am I willing enough? Am I willing to love? Am I willing to serve? Am I willing to help my brothers and sisters who feel lost find hope again? Who is I Am Team 136? Because God alone does not call us to walk this journey by ourselves. He calls us into community together. That's why we're all here. He called us all here. He calls us to lift each other up. He calls us to be
about 6 minutes.
Become people who lead with our hearts, who lead with His love. The Love Crew, 136. Civil Service, 136. The greatest change in the world often begins with simple things. A kind word, a helping hand, a prayer, a conversation, a person reminding other people, you matter, you are loved, you, my dear, have purpose in this world. Small steps, 136. Every single soul matters. He created every single soul on this planet. Every life has meaning. Soul is key, 136. God created you intentionally. God made me who I am, 136. You are not an accident. Your gifts, and I know there's many of them, your gifts are not an accident. Your ability to love, to encourage, to teach, and serve is not an accident. God is using ordinary people who were willing, who said yes to him. That's what this is. That's why we're all here. He called us. He brought us all together. And when we choose to walk with him, he's transforming us. He's giving us all new perspective, a new heart, a new purpose. Give me a new life, 136. The Bible says, for we are God's workmanship, created in Jesus Christ to do good works, which God prepared in advance for us to do. Ephesians 2:10. When he wrote that, he was thinking of us. He was preparing us in advance for this time. That means your life has purpose. Your kindness has purpose. Your obedience has purpose. Your love has purpose. So if you're listening to this message today and you feel lost, if you feel like you're walking in circles and you have no idea what your next step is, I want to encourage you to do something so simple. So simple. Ask God. Just ask him. He's with you. He's sitting with you, right with you. Talk to him like he's your best friend. He is your best friend. He's with you more than anybody else because he's a particle of you. Be still and listen. Literally give him the will. That means you don't take it back. Hand him the will. Because when you surrender your path to him, he will guide every single step. Hearing Jesus, 136. God's Spirit, 136. Hearing Gematria, 136. You do not have to know the whole road. You only have to trust the one who does. He knows it. He wrote it. He already knows it. Just hand him the will. The Bible tells us, trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways, submit to him, and he will make your path straight. Proverbs 3, verse 5 and 6. When you feel weak, he strengthens you. When you feel uncertain, he'll remind you. When you feel alone, he is right there holding your hand. He holds my hand, 136. Follow him. Trust him. Give him your heart. Follow him. I'm 100% equals 136. Great Awakening, 136. Because the Great Awakening is not just discovering all the things outside of ourselves. It's discovering the love, the purpose, and the calling that God placed inside of you. It is truly becoming the person that he created us to be. The light of God, 136. Jesus said, you are the light of the world. A town built on a hill cannot be hidden. Let your light shine before others. Matthew 5, verse 14 through 6. Let your light shine. Let it shine bright. Don't let any single person dim your light. Do not be afraid to love. Do not be afraid to serve. Do not be afraid to take that next step. I'm telling you, he's with you. You're going to do great. Trust him. Surrender to him. Let him guide you. Because when we walk with him, we never, ever, ever walk alone. Together as a team, let us choose love. Together as a team, let us serve. Together, let us become the hands and feet of Jesus in this world that he intended it to be. We've let a lot of these churches tell us what he wanted. Listen to him. Let him guide us. Lead with love, 136. We are God's team, 136. Great Awakening, 136. I've self-identified, 136. God bless you all. I love you.
So was that one okay? So we got another big video. Billy Bean, 24 minutes. But we're going to do a 10-minute Patriot Princess. Oh, there was a plane crash. I want to get this out.
July 31st.
After the crash, Sam Bernstein Law Firm made sure that I was compensated fairly.
Breaking news, another plane crash. This time, Washington State, Sequoia Islands. This is crazy, folks. A plane with 11 people crashed into the water. Everyone survived and then went up in flames. Let me show you the crazy footage, show you where this is on the map, and a statement by the airlines. This is wild, folks. Check it out.
Just stay there.
Oh my gosh.
Wow.
Get in between these guys. Holy cow, this is so cool. I can't believe he's doing this. Oh God, I hope he's okay. I gotta go out there.
All right, this is coming from Fox 13 Seattle. Float plane crashes near Washington's Sequoia Islands with 11 on board. A Kenmore Air float plane carrying 11 people crashed near Sequoia Island, but everyone on board survived. The aircraft caught fire after attempting an emergency landing, leaving 4 people injured and transported for treatment. Investigators are working to determine what caused the emergency landing and subsequent crash. It happened around 5:15 p.m. near Sequoia Island. According to the U.S. Coast Guard, the float plane was attempting to make an emergency landing before catching fire. According to Kenmore Air, all 11 people on board are safe, and only 4 appear to be injured. The 2 injured passengers were taken to hospital, and 2 others were taken to Orcas Island for evaluation and treatment. Multiple agencies responded, including the U.S. Coast Guard, San Juan County Sheriff's Department, and the Orcas Island Fire and Rescue responded to the scene. David Gudgel, CEO of Kenmore Air, issued the following statement. This evening, one of our aircraft was involved in an accident near Sequoia Island. We are grateful that everyone aboard has been accounted for, and our immediate focus is ensuring our passengers and pilot receive the care and support they need. We extend our sincere thanks to the U.S. Coast Guard, local emergency responders, and everyone assisting in the response. Kenmore Air is fully cooperating with the investigating authorities, and we will continue to provide verified information as it becomes available. So under investigation, thank God everyone was safe. This could have been a major disaster.
So credit to JRL for putting that video out. Big news there. So we get that 10-minute Patriot Princess.
And learn the truth. I think the assassination attempt in the Hilton Ballroom is linked to a Jason Bourne situation, as well as the vice president. The CIA, Mossad, Five Eyes, they MK Ultra mind control their agents like robots to be assassins, and they do it with frequency weapons like HARP, or MK Ultra like light pulses, to program them to do whatever they want, like assassinate presidents. Think about the guy that was up there on the stage with Melania and Trump and Caroline Leavitt. He was called the mentalist, the mind mentalist, and he had a card. And he was supposedly guessing the name of Caroline's new baby, who was about to be born. Born. Think Jason Bourne. And think her due date, D-Day. What if the letter or card was a trigger to activate the assassin? And look at the patterns. Recognize the patterns. How many criminals and shooters have had the name Coleman or Cole in their name? The January 6th pipe bomber. His name was Brian Cole Jr. Brian Cole Jr. comes to 107. And look at Coleman Thomas Blevins from Texas in 2021. FBI and police called him a national security threat. He was planning a mass shooting in a bunch of Walmarts. And now we have Cole Thomas again, attempting to assassinate the president at the Hilton Ballroom. Cole, a CIA operation or code name? Think Jason Bourne. In the Jason Bourne movie, the CIA tries to wipe Jason Bourne's memory of being a trained assassin, but then he begins to remember parts of the black ops that he's been involved with. He develops a moral conscience and he wants out, but then the CIA tries to eliminate him. Are all these criminals named Cole a CIA experiment to assassinate specific leaders? QPost 166, Jason Bourne, Deep Dream. Deep Dream is a fictional social media and tech platform in the movie Jason Bourne. Social media is a tool created by the CIA designed to track citizens via the platform's operating system. The CEOs of these massive social media platforms publicly champion user privacy, but really they're secretly funded and coerced by the CIA to provide back-end access. The movie Jason Bourne was produced by Jeffrey Weiner and Greengrass. Trump says Greengrass a lot in his speeches. And Weiner, like Anthony Weiner. Think the laptop from hell. The shooter from the Hilton Ballroom looked a lot like Anthony Weiner mixed with Hunter Biden. Think laptop from hell and Anthony Weiner laptop. Insurance. Anthony Weiner said that he kept all that footage and evidence of politicians and celebrities doing pedophilia and committing treason and crimes against humanity for insurance, to keep himself alive and to have leverage. QPost 1948, insurance, Prism, Snowden. What if Edward Snowden has more than we know? What if he has some insurance that we don't know about? What if he has a Trump card? Jason Bourne sounds a lot like Edward Snowden. What if Snowden, John McAfee, Jason Bourne are all Q, NSA, Space Force, good guy characters? QPost 166. What are patterns? Look at the patterns that we see. All the shooters and criminals are named Cole. QPost 166. What is the Secret Service? Who is the primary person protected under the Secret Service? And who did we see the shooter run by on the camera footage? The Secret Service, right? And look at QPost 166. POTUS was advised by the Secret Service to terminate use of Twitter due to new website tracking policy, or cookies, amongst other spyware that was not disclosed. It was a risk. Twitter had undisclosed spyware shown as cookies. The Twitter app was tracking the president in real time. That's treason. And remember, Elon bought Twitter and he said it was a crime scene. Did he mean treason? Along with all the other tech companies like Apple. And look at what Apple just did. Their CEO just stepped down. Are Apple, Google, and Twitter and other social media platforms and apps guilty of committing treason, of tracking the president in real time and relaying that data to Mossad and CIA and Five Eyes? And what about the Vice President J.D. Vance? Why was he taken off stage first? Is he guilty of giving away the president's location in real time too? It's always the vice president that tries to kill the president. Same with Kennedy, JFK. His vice president was working with Mossad and the CIA to take him out. Look close at QPost 1948. Hussein Valerie Jarrett. The initials V and J are capitalized. VJ. Think mere JV. James Vance. Where was she born, it says. Born, like Jason Bourne. Is J.D. Vance a CIA experiment, like Jason Bourne? And then look at QPost 924. They made many current, former enslaved children famous, brainwashed. Who was adopted? Who was born in it? J.D. Vance always talks about how his mother wasn't around, and he was an orphan, and he was adopted by his grandmother and other people.
Less than
And
5.
think about the mind mentalist that was on stage with President Trump, Melania, and Caroline Leavitt. He was guessing the name of Caroline Leavitt's baby who was about to be born. Look at QPost 1948. When did Valerie Jarrett hire Michelle Robinson? The initials are capitalized VJ. So that could read when did, and think mere. So JV, James Vance. So this could read when did JV, James Vance, hire Robinson? Robinson was Charlie Kirk's shooter. Did JD Vance hire Charlie Kirk's shooter? And now look what's happening. The House voted to extend the controversial spy tool FISA Section 702, but we're waiting on the Senate to pass it tonight at midnight. FISA, think Snowden. Forensic Intelligence Surveillance Act, Section 702, a controversial provision that allows surveillance of non-U.S. persons located outside the U.S., which sometimes collects information on U.S. citizens, though. And FISA in Gematria comes to 35. Clean, 35. Coal, 35. Trump says this all the time. Edward Snowden leaked documents exposing the PRISM program in 2013. PRISM is a data mining program that collected information like emails, chats, videos, and photos from internet companies like Google, Apple, etc. And for the first time in history, the U.S. was using PRISM missiles to fight against Iran. PRISM, PRSM missiles. It's a long-range precision strike ballistic missile. But what if that means more? What if it's hints at the CIA headquarters was in Iran? And what if Snowden has more than we know? Now that FISA Section 702 is back in the news, will this prompt Snowden to step back on the scene? Does he have more than we know? Does he have information about the vice presidents and about these tech platform social media companies? And does he have evidence of crimes against humanity and treason on all these politicians like Barack and Hillary? And think about Snowden. QPost says, do you think he acted alone? No, I think it was a small group. What if Snowden is a group of a man and a woman? Look at QPost 144. It says, many cannot and will not swallow. Swallow is a code word for a female spy who extracts information. And look at the brackets in QPost 144. It says, U.S. risk this week, God and country. Risk Just like the Secret Service told Trump Twitter was a risk because it was tracking his location in real time. Look at QPost 144, Jason Bourne, CIA dream. Think social media platforms. Think Snowden. Everything has meaning. Look at QPost 4598, moves and countermoves. FISA, Russia, C before D. Think about Snowden. He made moves and countermoves, and then he went to Russia. FISA, C before D. All the shooters' names are Cole. Cole before D class, C before D. Are we going to get D class soon?
Patriot Princess.
Okay, we haven't had a 10-minute one from her in a while, so I got 5 short ones. And then I'm going to do Billy Bean. Then we'll go back and do that hour video to come back and do 3 more 20-minute ones. I got a lot of short ones still to come. A lot of stuff to cover. That's why I came on early today. This is cool. Flying Eagle, this is the one I was telling you about.
Climb from the swamp to the stars. And it's been said if we lose that war, and in so doing lose this way of freedom of ours, history will record with the greatest astonishment that those who had the most to lose did the least to prevent its happening. Not too long ago, 2 friends of mine were talking to a Cuban refugee, a businessman who had escaped from Castro. And in the midst of his story, one of my friends turned to the other and said, "We don't know how lucky we are." And the Cuban stopped and said, "How lucky you are. I had some place to escape to." If we lose freedom here, there's no place to escape to. This is the last stand on earth. Outside of its legitimate functions, government does nothing as well or as economically as the private sector of the economy. Well, now, if government planning and welfare had the answer, and they've had almost 30 years of it, shouldn't we expect government to read the score to us once in a while? Yet any time you and I question the schemes of the do-gooders, we're denounced as being against their humanitarian goals. They say we're always against things, we're never for anything. Well, the trouble with our liberal friends is not that they're ignorant, it's just that they know so much that isn't so. These proliferating bureaus with their thousands of regulations have cost us many of our constitutional safeguards. How many of us realize that today federal agents can invade a man's property without a warrant? They can impose a fine without a formal hearing, let alone a trial by jury, and they can seize and sell his property at auction to enforce the payment of that fine. Those who would trade our freedom for the soup kitchen of the welfare state have told us they have a utopian solution of peace without victory. They call their policy accommodation. And they say if we'll only avoid any direct confrontation with the enemy, he'll forget his evil ways and learn to love us. All who oppose them are indicted as warmongers. They say we offer simple answers to complex problems. Well, perhaps there is a simple answer. Not an easy answer, but simple. We cannot buy our security, our freedom from the threat of the bomb, by committing an immorality so great as saying to 1 billion human beings now enslaved behind the Iron Curtain, give up your dreams of freedom, because to save our own skins, we're willing to make a deal with your slave masters. Admittedly, there's a risk in any course we follow other than this, but every lesson of history tells us that the greater risk lies in appeasement. And this is the specter our well-meaning liberal friends refuse to face, that their policy of accommodation is appeasement. And it gives no choice between peace and war, only between fight or surrender. If nothing in life is worth dying for, when did this begin? Just in the face of this enemy? Or should Moses have told the children of Israel to live in slavery under the Pharaohs? Should Christ have refused the cross? Should the patriots at Concord Bridge have thrown down their guns and refused to fire the shot heard round the world? The martyrs of history were not fools. And our honored dead who gave their lives to stop the advance of the Nazis didn't die in vain. Where then is the road to peace? Well, it's a simple answer after all. You and I have the courage to say to our enemies, there is a price we will not pay. There is a point beyond which they must not advance. You and I have a rendezvous with destiny. We'll preserve for our children this, the last best hope of man on earth, or we'll sentence them to take the last step into 1,000 years of darkness. We're at...
So that was a good one. Oh, can't play that one. So I'll go to the third one. Okay, this is that one lady. I got two with her.
War going on. Okay, I understand the gas prices are still up. They said they were going to come down. They haven't come down yet. This is intentional to wake people up to what it would have been like if they did their 2030 agenda, okay? If it wasn't stopped, if they weren't bringing the CABAL down and the banks and everything, bringing everything down. This war that you're watching, it's a movie. It already happened in 2020 to 2021. It already happened. You remember a wall of Navy ships from Maine to Florida? They were stopping the foreign ships from coming here and entering. You don't remember that? March 2020, Trump wrote an executive order to authorize the calling up of all those National Guards. You remember that? Then 4 days later, he does a press conference with General Milley talking about military operation. I mean, this stuff, you can go back and watch the videos for proof if you don't remember. He said he's a wartime president years ago. They literally tell you. After that, you saw hundreds of military planes from all different countries operating in foreign airspace all over the world. Do you not remember that? It's plain as day. They put it out there. They tell you. What you're watching now is the rollout of what already happened. And you're worried about our military colliding and combining with Israel, fake Israel over there that was created in 1948. It's not the biblical Israel. You're worried about we are in control. It doesn't matter what military we combine together. We are in control. Doesn't matter. We're all pretty much run by the same person. Have a great day. Don't get...
One more. Then we'll do Billy B.
They're going to combine or merge the U.S. military with the military in Israel. That looks like treason, right? Exposure of the Republicans. What's wrong with you, Republicans? What are you thinking? You're going to combine our military? This is exposure back to back to back. There's going to be a lot of exposure this year back to back, okay? It's exposing the left and exposing the right. Both. The power has already been given back to we the people. It doesn't matter what side you lean on. You might think a little more Republican or a little more Democrat, but it really doesn't matter because there's that handful of generals that sit at the top, just a handful, admirals and generals that sit right at the top that are completing this entire operation that has been planned for many, many years, okay? They're in control of all of these countries already, and they have been for years now. Pre-COVID, okay? It goes back. Do not worry. They're exposing it. Do not worry that they're combining the military together with the fake Israel over there that was created in 1948. That is not the biblical Israel, once again, for all you sleepers, okay? This is a movie, once again. Those guys at the top are running the whole show, and they have been, and they've completed it all. They got to roll it out for the sleepers to see it and not hear it, because you're not going to wake up if you just hear it. You got to visually see everything. Don't worry about our military getting combined with that fake Israel over there. You think you're looking at your real leaders in your own countries, no matter what country you're in? You think those are the originals, the real ones? You're wrong. You're wrong. They're all gone. Yeah, they're gone. They might look just like them, but that's not them. Okay? Military's in control. Don't worry at this point what they combine, because this operation has been taking place for years, pre-planned for years, and we're just watching it roll out. That's all. None of it matters. Trust me. Have a great day. Everyone is up.
Okay, those are two good ones from her today. I'll get the other short ones later. Try to get these big ones out of the way.
Welcome to Truth by Billy Bean. Today's date, July 24, 2026, time in Texas, about 11 a.m. And I'd like to say thank you for extra support for my channel to Christiane R., Leisha E., and Becky D. Thank you so much. And thanks for like, subscribe, and share. Some of the things we'll cover: Starlink chaff over the U.S., and the U.S. downs a power plant, likely powering the Russian KGB in the Middle East. We have this: the U.S. military flattened an Iran test site last night. President Trump hit him again harder. So let's get started. So we have this. So today, July 24, about 5:45 p.m. from Texas, Starlink will launch a batch of 20 Super Starlink satellites, V3. But once again, it's being said this is a test launch. And it's going to go up, release 20 test satellites that are then going to fall down into the atmosphere and release a massive amount of aluminum, plus other things we're not told about. I submit this is part, I believe, certainly it could be a Starlink test flight. We just saw one a few days ago, similar, with the satellites falling back into the atmosphere and disintegrating. This is alleged to be a test site for the Starlink to put 20 satellites at one time into orbit. But now we're being told this is another test launch. But this time, the 20 Starlink satellites will not disintegrate. Instead, they will release massive amounts of aluminum plus over the U.S. I submit this is the U.S. putting out chaff over the U.S., and chaff is something the U.S. military releases from planes to misdirect missiles. Just saying. And we have this. So yesterday we had a G1 geomagnetic storm. We are expecting solar wind today or tomorrow, possibly to give us another low-level geomagnetic storm. And we have this coming out that Georgia admits in the U.S. presidential election in 2020 that Georgia allowed 315,000 illegals to vote in the state of Georgia, giving JB 11,779 votes to beat President Trump. Well, we see in Georgia, and we saw months ago FBI going to Fulton County, Georgia, and taking all their voter information from 2020. But now we have the state of Georgia admitting in 2020, the presidential election, 315,000 illegals voted in the state of Georgia. So all you 2020 election deniers, shut up.
Oh, shut up.
And we have this from Breitbart. President Trump today, Make America Great Again, uses various tariff laws to get around that downing of tariffs in the U.S. by the Supreme Court a few months ago. And now is putting tariffs of 10 to 12.5% on 60 nations, including China, India, and Europe. And why are tariffs important? For decades, the deep state controlled U.S. government.
Raise your snack standards. Catalina Crunch. Snack like it matters.
This is Billy.
Allowed other nations to charge the U.S. tariffs for their products, while the other nations paid no tariffs on U.S. products. So that led to a trade imbalance, with the U.S. taking a trade hit. Well, no more. We have a great president who puts into action, Make America Great Again. And we have this. Russia has hit the Odessa port of the Black Sea. And Odessa port is where Ukraine gets all of its goods. So we have Ukraine, Odessa port, Romania, Poland. And now Russia has taken out the only port that Ukraine has, because shippers will now not go in to the Odessa port. So in the future, Ukraine can only receive shipments or send out shipments from Romania. So that's going on. And we have this. We have Ebola deaths now in the Congo, up to 1,000, with thousands of cases. And the WHO says this is the fastest spreading Ebola event in history. And we have this in Venezuela. They're now putting the official death toll up to 50,000, with tens of thousands of other passed away Venezuelans still buried in the rubble. So that's going on. And we have this from U.S. Intel, that Iran is putting out that they took down a U.S. fighter jet last night over Qassam Island. But this has not been verified, and we're used to Iran putting out lying statements. We have this. So in Avaz, Iran, so we have the Strait of Hormuz, Iran, Iraq, Saudi Arabia, Oman, Yemen. In Avaz, Iran, we've been hearing about earthquakes in this area. A 4.5, a 5.2, plus another one, about the same magnitude, 4 to 5, described to be 10 kilometers or 6 miles deep. Well, There's also the possibility that some type of weapon was being tested in Avaz, Iran. Now, it's likely we won't find out for quite a while because the U.S. military last night flattened Avaz, Iran with 30 strikes. Way to go, President Trump. And we've also been seeing many hits in Bashir, Iran, where, as I've been putting out, an odd location, Bashir, allegedly a Russian nuclear power plant that was operated by 600 Russians, and Russia had not only built the plant and operated it, but also built a nearby city, Bashir, near which there was an IRGC military base. Now, I've put out several times that I found it very odd that Russia would build a nuclear power plant, the only one in Iran, and build it and operate it and pay for it. It's now my opinion that this wasn't a nuclear power plant, but rather a secret Russian KGB, and the intel service in Russia is now called FSB. I submit the possibility that Bashir was a Russian KGB location. They had 600 agents there.
Hi, I'm Melissa. My daughter is Gracie. She's 16 years old and she plays soccer. Her freshman year, it was hard. It took a toll on her mentally. She was really...
To provide, and that was their Middle East, we would call it CIA location, in this case, KGB, FSB location. And further supporting my position is the fact that the U.S. military bombed the power plant supposedly going to this nuclear power plant. So the U.S. Mill took out the power plant last night. I do not believe the U.S. military would have bombed a power plant that was actually powering a nuclear power plant, because then your nuclear power plant can go into meltdown. But we've heard nothing about a meltdown, and I submit because this was never a nuclear power plant. So that's going on. And now we have this from Tusi TV. So we see a widening war, conflict, dust up going on in the Middle East, with Syria now getting involved, supporting the U.S. And Syria recently stopped a Iran delivery of weapons to Hezbollah in Lebanon. Excuse me. It's now believed the Syrian military will also go into Lebanon to work with the Lebanese military and possibly the IDF, Israeli Defense Force, to destroy Hezbollah, a proxy for Iran. We did see yesterday in northern Lebanon, that's on the border with Israel, we saw the IDF withdrawing, and we saw the Lebanese military then moving into position to further degrade and disarm Hezbollah. I submit the high likelihood that Syrian military is also going to come into Lebanon to facilitate disarming Hezbollah. So that's going on. And we have this from U.S. Intel. We are seeing, with renewed U.S. military hits on Iran in the last few days, we're seeing oil up. Sweet crude, West Texas and Brent. West Texas up $91 a barrel, Brent $100 a barrel. The sour crude, Murban, Middle East, up 23% to $112 per barrel. So that's going on. And we have this that coming out from Max Afterburner, a estimate of the force of Iran, with 50,000 being in the IRGC. That's my take. With Max Afterburner saying the Iran military is about 850,000, and they have reserves of 350,000. So it's good to know what is the size of your enemy's military. We have this from U.S. Intel, that the U.S. surged yesterday combat doctors to Germany. And this is the highest level of U.S. surging doctors, combat doctors to Germany since this dust-up with Iran began. We have this also from U.S. Intel. We saw yesterday embassies in Tehran, the capital city of Iran, Tehran, evacuating their employees, including the UK, Germany, and France, and learned that Iran rejects any more talks. President Trump promises a massive attack on Iran. And we believe the U.S. military has been positioning, certainly in the last 72 hours. And I submit the U.S. military flattening Avaz and taking out the power to the Bashir supposed nuclear power plant were prepping efforts to support a massive U.S. hit on Iran, most likely tonight. And we know the U.S. military carried out yesterday day 13 of continuous hits on Iran. We have this.
Yep. Sorry, Carol, I gave you the link. Did you get my link? I have a lot of stuff to get out, and I want to get done early on Friday now, because I watch my games at night. We got Captain Kyle coming up with Holly coming up after Billy.
A new era of American shipbuilding is here.
Mike worked in a factory. I worked at Burger King. Both of our parents were teachers. It's the middle class. It's who.
With the possibility of widening conflict with Syria, moving to help the U.S. and Lebanon take down Hezbollah, proxy of Iran. We see also Saudi Arabia possibly also using military force against another Iran proxy in Yemen, the Houthis. So that's going on. And we have President Trump in the last 48 hours okaying a program with the U.S. working with Saudi Arabia. So Saudi Arabia can have a civilian enrichment program to be used for nuclear power plants. Part of the U.S. requirement for Saudi Arabia to do this is also for them to join the Abraham Accords. The Abraham Accords is a program President Trump began in his first term to sign up Middle Eastern countries to agree to normalize their relations with Israel. So that's going on. And we have this from U.S. Intel that the U.S. State Department is urging U.S. citizens in the Middle East, this happened yesterday, to prepare for emergency travel. This goes along with other things we're seeing taking place. The European embassies evacuating their people from Iran, the U.S. military surging combat doctors to Germany, and now the U.S. State Department telling American citizens in the Middle East prep for emergency travel in the event that you have to evac. So that's going on. And we have this. It's believed that Iran will hit Middle Eastern countries very hard once this massive U.S. military hit occurs. It's believed Iran will strike its Gulf states' neighbors to take out their power plants and also to destroy all of their oil facilities. So that's going on. We have in Israel, the Israeli government yesterday telling Israeli hospitals to prep to do an emergency evac to protected areas or underground bunkers. Also for the Israeli hospitals to close all clinics, cancel all voluntary surgeries, and that for the ambulance services to stock up on their supplies. We have this from U.S. Intel. So Marco Rubio, Secretary of State, attended an Asian summit meeting of Asian countries in Manila, Philippines, where he had a short meeting, 35 minutes, with the Foreign Minister of Russia, Lavrov, which we understand Marco Rubio requested the meeting. It is not known what was discussed at this meeting, but the possibility is that the U.S. asked Russia to stop giving intel to Iran, and then Russia, of course, would ask the U.S. to stop giving intel to Ukraine. So we'll have to see what is the final event there. And we have this from in the last 24 hours, the U.S. has made a significant hit on Qassam Island. That's located very close to the Strait of Hormuz, Iran Island, and also in Ukraine. Military summary puts forth that yesterday Russia took Bilatavka and also took out Ukraine's Odessa port, which can no longer be used, and that Russia advances in North Zaporizhzhia. Russia advances also toward Kharkiv. Now, we also heard that the Ukraine was also making significant hits against Russia along the front line. So we see that going on. But we see now with Russia's most recent hits on the Odessa port in the Black Sea that shippers are no longer going to be delivering nor picking up shipments from Odessa in Ukraine. So that's going on. Now we had a prayer coming out from Dutch Sheets, Giving 15, and putting out that recent dreams support the U.S. hitting Iran, but that we need to be in prayer, at least for a season, on a daily basis, a few minutes a day, to pray for God to intercede for the U.S. against Iran. And now here is a short prayer. This is based on Isaiah 31. We pray, Father, in the name of Jesus, whom many call Yeshua, that you, Father, rise up against evildoers in Iran and against any nations helping Iran. And that you, Father, aid the U.S. and the nations that are helping the U.S. to take down in Iran an evil and corrupt government we Christians believe is being helped by the evil prince of Persia. And we thank you, God the Father, God the Son, Jesus, whom many call Yeshua, and God the Holy Spirit. I say to my family and friends, remain steady out there, continue to pray. God is in charge and he is on the move. I love you and I'll see you soon.
We build Kevlar carbon fiber composite.
Okay, another powerful video from Billy. We got a new person in chat, you guys. D. Martin. Welcome. Thanks for coming in. And all I ask is just to be respectful. Thank you. Ask what state you're from. I'm in Michigan. And now the other big video, the hour one, you guys. Captain Kyle and Holly. Moving right along here. I'll do that one later. I don't know if I'm going to get to everything today, you guys. Oh, wait a minute, you guys. What's that guy saying in chat? I guess he's a troll, you guys. Trump is the worst. Oh, I thought block him. He's a troll. I thought he was a good person, but I guess not. Thanks, you guys. Sorry about that mix up there. I guess the trolls are coming in. Remember, Lucy, I said that this morning. I knew they would.
What you want to say is there a message that you want to say to the audience that's listening? And we were saying,
here comes the troll,
too many
guys.
people are just focused on the financial piece. Too many people are just focused on the arrests and all of that. Too many people are just focused on maybe only med beds. So they're missing the whole big picture. And you were making some great points before we went on air. So I'm going to turn it over to you to try to recapture what we were talking about.
Yeah, so what I see as the biggest problem is that you have all of these individual subsectors of the awakening. And their parts of it are really focused on just those specific areas, like, just the justice, and then all the criminality gets dealt with, and all these people get arrested, and, that kind of thing. And then you have the other people that are like the RV groups, and they're, they've been so conditioned on just the financial change and the financial windfall of the monetary system changing and what that can do to their reality. And then you have other people that, are looking for their healing and med beds, and that's the main part that, that they're really focused on, is when are we going to do this? And it's like, why are they still letting the vaccines out and all the blah, blah, blah? And it's like, they're missing the fact that those are just actual consequences of the greater awakening that's actually happening, because that's what's happening is our spiritual evolution and our consciousness of growth, which is going to open the doors to.
Psst, is your litter lacking? Unlock next level innovation. Shop Tidy Cat's Performance Plus.
Running your first 5K? Hard. His first day behind the wheel.
Realities that you don't even have any kind of, grasp of, is because we're looking at things through this 3D lens of what we see, what we smell, what we hear and feel, so to speak. And there's so much more. And we look at things on a linear basis, and time is an illusion. There is really no time.
Right.
Everything happens simultaneously at the same time, past, present, and future. It's all frequency based. And so not only is it frequency based, but it is also dimensionally based as well.
Yeah.
And so you've got this multiverse of realities of our past, our future, and all happening simultaneously. And so that's why we have like people within the military and the government and stuff saying things that we now have the ability, they're saying it out publicly, that we have the ability to bend space and time. And not only that, but we can actually travel anywhere instantaneously. The cat's starting to get out of the bag on these technologies that they've had for a long time. And these technologies have existed forever, but they're just now becoming a part of our reality. But you also have the people that are very religious indoctrination. And because of that, that spiritual belief system of religion is a control factor. And any of these things always presented as it's evil, it's demonic, it's this, it's that, and the other. And I have gone through Bible college. My wife's an ordained minister. My father-in-law he's a prophet, and I mean an actual real prophet, and not just one that is, the self-proclaiming. And whenever I was first meeting with my wife and stuff, and to go over there, if you were like, he read your mail, put it that way. You weren't hiding anything. And I mean, absolutely nothing. And so it was really, difficult in that aspect. But the thing is that when we start to go through these changes, this has happened time and time again. Well, we had the Industrial Revolution. Basically, the same kinds of circumstances evolved then on people being fearful of the machine replacing the worker, and the workers, being able to lose their jobs and so on and so forth. Instead of being a person that mastered the machine, they looked at it as that it was evil, it was a threat, and that it was something that they feared. And basically they burn warehouses down. They would burn these factories down and stuff because that was a threat to their way of living at the time. And we're going through that right now. But it is not an industrial, but it is a technology and a spiritual evolution that people are fearful of because they do not understand what they don't know. and they want change, but they're definitely afraid of change.
Well, I think they're so laser focused on one thing. Like most people are laser focused on the financial piece because they keep saying, when I have the money, then I'm going to do blah, blah, blah. And they're not living for today and doing whatever. Or when I get in the med bed, then I can heal myself instead of healing yourself today if you have a problem. So people have lost their perspective on living in the here and now and are only focused on future events happening.
Yes, it's always when this happens or when that happens. And they're living in the future, and the future never actually gets here. It's in the now. And people have to learn to live in the now, because the now is the only thing that's real. Tomorrow never gets here. Yesterday will never be here again. And they live in it. And that's where most problems stem from is, people live in the past and they based all of their now on yesterday or last year or last several years on how they are right this minute. And the thing is that was then. There's no changing it. There's no going back in your mindset. There's no going back. Now there is you can actually, but that is not a part of your reality. So because of that,
Everybody
you
okay
have to
so
live
far?
in the now and let that stuff go. And then the tomorrow, you plan for tomorrow, but you live in today. That's the difference. And people put all of their emphasis on those things to come, just like you were saying about, well, when the monies happen. I can tell you that people do not have any idea what it's like to have that kind of money, because money comes with responsibility and a graduated effect of each level that you get to, and more finances, different doors and different ways of doing things actually become your reality. And right now, you don't know those things at all. Zero. And depending on what level of finances those things continually change as well.
Yeah.
And it's like people, when you see people,
PetSmart's auto ship handles the everyday stuff. We also have store, where we
people that are using money as a means to elevate themselves, they're chasing something because they've got a hole in their spirit. They're empty inside and they're trying to fill it with those things in which they obtain, and it's never going to be enough because the newness wears off. That newness of the new car, the new boat, the new house, the new whatever, it wears off, and then it at times will become the old. Right. It's like no matter what it is, it will become the old. And then you got to replace it with something better, something newer, and so on and so forth. And it's like those that use those things for which they are, which are tools to be used for good, tools to be used for bad. Doesn't matter what they are. AI, any of these things are just tools for us to use. And when people that are grounded in, they are at peace with themselves and with or without, doesn't matter. And so when they have, then they actually use those things for benefits and for good things, because that's what they're supposed to be for. And so you see people that are very wealthy that when you walk up to them on the street, you don't realize they're that wealthy. You don't know they're loaded because they don't use those things to elevate themselves to be above someone else.
Right.
They use those things to actually benefit themselves in what they're designed for, whether it be comfort, whether it be reliability, whether it be to make other people have means of being able to move about planes, things of like that nature, right? How many people could that plane that you bought actually have fed? Well, in all reality, you're looking at it in the wrong way. By buying that plane, I fed many, many families on the people that put the steel together, that put the aluminum together, that put the avionics together, that put all of the wiring together, that put the tires together. And all of those families I've been feeding for a long time. That is teaching someone to have a ability to fish and to feed over and over versus just giving something to someone that goes away.
Right. I'm going to ask you a question, see if you heard about this. This was passed last night. The U.S. House of Representatives passed a $1.15 trillion defense policy bill, NDAA, that includes major provisions to expand military and defense technology cooperation with Israel. So I know a lot of people have their hair on fire that we are cooperating with Israel on defense, and just want to see what you can share about that.
So the reality is that this has already taken place, and the funding is and being presented to people as how do I say this? Something new, but it's not. The reality of where we are going is that this is a bad place to be able to work around, because I want to say certain things, but I can't. Let me see how I can in the near future, the alignments across borders will be completely different in how we move about, how we see ourselves, and how technology operates. Because right now, things are being accelerated into the older technologies that really are archaic and people don't even know it yet.
Mm-hmm.
This in which we're operating in right now, archaic.
Yeah.
But they're spending mass amounts of monies for data centers and all this other stuff. Most of them will not actually even be functionable, because that will become antiquated very quickly, because quantum technology needs none of that.
Right.
Zero. The United States will be the
built to have your back, built to higher standards. That's USAA Classic Checking.
Look, switching to T-Mobile 5G home internet was worth it for the speed alone. My patience ain't built like that.
That part, instead of...
Okay, we are 40 minutes left, 14 minutes in.
point and top of the, how do I, trying to say but not say, everything will stem from the United States, 100%. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. The quantum technologies in which we already have and already in control of, have the abilities to right now do anything that you could perceive.
Right. Well, it works on consciousness.
It does, but it also works outside of the laws of the physics in which people understand.
Yes.
And it doesn't only work in one dimensional field.
Correct.
It works in all of them simultaneously.
Yes.
And because of that, we actually have had technologies that when Trump actually tells people that the other countries know the technologies that we have and they wish they had them,
mm-hmm.
Some of those technologies were used in Venezuela
mm-hmm.
with our super soldiers.
Yes.
Our super soldiers have, there's a unit, they're called ghosts.
Mm-hmm.
They are the ghost unit. There have been several special forces individuals that have spoke about these units that they come in contact with over the last several years. And they don't know who they are. And they do not know the technologies in which they operate in. But they are absolutely blown away by them.
Yes.
Because those are the technologies that were used in Venezuela, where it was intentional to control that environment 100%, but also allow individuals to be privy to it and to speak out against it. Because some people are like, well, how did this guy have eyes where he was bleeding out the eyes and he was thrown and he was all this, and then all of a sudden he gets better and he goes and starts telling the public about all that, which the White House actually confirmed. They call it the discombobulator, which is all bullshit. But it's just funny that they, said that. But the super soldiers, that they have technologies which are the quantum micro diamonds that basically operate within the black rock.
Mm-hmm.
This is a real thing. Really small. It's embedded into their uniform. You cannot shoot them. You cannot touch them. And the thing of that is that they control their environment completely around them because of this technology. We're at 30,000 feet. They can jump out of an airplane with no parachute, no anything, and then actually land on the ground with no parachute whatsoever. Special Forces guys have witnessed them jumping out of the planes with nothing on but their gear and then picking them back up a week later. And so this is the kinds of technologies that could be used and is very limitedly put out there in the public space on purpose, where we could go into any country in the world at any time and do anything we wanted and completely dominate that country in less than a day. So you're what? Well, why is what's going on in Iraq, Iran, what's going on, right? And so on and so forth. Well, that is a display for the public. And it has to happen this way conventionally, even though we're actually doing things there that are not conventional at the same time, because there's stargates there are portals that are there's technologies there that were the main reasons for what is going on there. But there's also the other side of it, which is the humane society, the humanity part of that, as well as the economy part of this as well, with severing the ties in which were established by the crown and so on and so forth, and reestablishing these alliances through the Middle East, through the Abraham Accords and all the other stuff that's going on, because these are all going to be in the near future, all kingdoms,
mm-hmm.
and which are coming back to the way that it was supposed to be originally. Just like the North American kingdom. Well, that kingdom is not just in for North America, but it is all Americas, the whole Western Hemisphere, from Argentina to the North Pole. It's all. Now, how does that work? It all operates under the umbrella of the United States, the Republic, but in the super states. I don't know if people have heard that before, but they're considered to be super states. A super state is like the United States are now, where it's like you have Texas. Texas is its own actual republic, right, but it's a part of the United States, right, as the overall.
I started a business to give old clothes a new life, and Chase has supported me from the beginning.
This is your summer in a can. Limoncello, crafted the Italian way. Real fruit.
Family, so to speak.
About halfway.
Well, same thing will be, each of these countries will be the same way. Just like Texas used to be its own country, came into the United States. That's why it is the only state that is a republic. I'm pretty sure, I think there might be one more. But I know that you have like the Commonwealth, which is, Pennsylvania, and these different substructures of our country. Well, the super states are these actual countries that are under the umbrella of the United States. So they will be the United States, but it'll be like me, where I fly my Texas flag. I am a Texan, but I'm also an American. Right. And just like they are actually Americans because they live in the Americas. And whenever you look at the doctrines, it depends on what encyclopedias, because this is really important, on how things are defined, mm-hmm, is where those boundaries are actually drawn. And this was all on purpose, because these boundaries never used to exist. These were broken up and separated on purpose. And so each one of these countries will still have their own heritage. They will still have their own identity, but they will be, as a collective, under the umbrella of the Americas.
Got it.
And so that will work. So that's where the super states actually come from. It's all actually operating under a republic. The people govern themselves, and the government itself is very small in its overall functionality. But see, the thing is that the monies are going to change, all of the financial system's going to change, and our energy infrastructure is going to change. And so everything right now is based on energy, right, everything. And so that's been the controlling factor for all economies around the world, and that's been on purpose. And so when you remove that, basically it removes that control, and it allows the people to then be able to be the creative beings that they were always intended to be.
That would be wonderful, because I know we've been so manipulated and messed with that we're not at our full capacity by any stretch of the imagination.
So you got like even Elon Musk right now posting out that everything, he's agreeing with these posts and stuff that everything's going to be free. And even referring to like planes and things and new travel and all this other, it's like, how could that even be, right? Well, the reality is that when you have an economy that's not based off of energy and productivity of individuals, meaning slaves, because that's all we were, slaves to the fake financial system, being oppressed through the energy that is more abundant than we could ever have, then it removes all of that. Absolutely every bit of it. And it's like the the thing where they always try to make things of scarcity.
Right.
And that's like with water. Water is the most abundant commodity on this entire freaking planet. And it's like you go to the store to buy a bottle of water, and it's almost expensive as gasoline.
Yeah.
It is in a gallon meaning. And it's like, that is retarded.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, absolutely retarded. And the control of weather and manipulation has been to where they've forced places to become barren that don't need to be. And it's all by their design.
Yes.
And it's all through manipulation. And all of that is going to end. And a lot of the stuff that we're going through right now is the birthing pains of the earth correcting itself from those things in which we're controlling it.
When do you see this big flip on that? When we're on the other side experiencing the things that you just talked about?
So
take your game farther with Titleist GTS.
We believe the most rewarding wins are when we work like a team. That's why US
different parts of this is going to happen at different times. It's kind of like successions. But a lot of the criminal justice and financial changes will happen this year, and not in completeness, but in moving in that direction exponentially. But we'll continue into next year. But the thing with that is what's going to happen is that we're getting closer and closer to a open disclosure of reality. Let's put it that way.
Okay.
And things are not as they appear. We are not who they say we are. And our history has not been what they have presented to us. And as those things come into play over the next 6 months to a year, that's going to change exponentially our realities to where this time next year, you won't recognize things.
Wow. What about Antarctica? Are we ever going to be able to go there, or will that still always be sanctioned off?
So as we move forward, that will eventually, just as all things, will be open to all of us. But it will be a part of the disclosure process.
Mm-hmm.
And in that will also bring the openness to it as well. So anything that's been hidden away is still going to be in that position to where it's still going to be hidden until it's disclosed. And so those opportunities of free travel in that aspect will be limited until that becomes open. And it will. All things will. Because we can't move into a higher level of spirituality, consciousness, and awareness and still live in lies. Can't happen. That's a part of the growth and development that we have to do to move forward. And this is going to happen, and there is nothing going to stop it, nothing going to change it for the direction that we're on. And it's like people are, instead of being so focused on the problems of today in which you are suffering within, start envisioning tomorrow of what you actually desire. Because manifestation is becoming easier and easier as the frequencies change, as the CERN got turned off on purpose, because CERN was holding everything in a lower frequency stability plane. And as that was turned off intentionally, not by them saying what they're saying, but being shut off, took that last bit of frequency control out of the equation. There was one that was the frequency net that was over our realm, as well as what CERN was doing by controlling it on the ground itself, in the ground level. So there were two frequency generators that were basically controlling our realities and keeping us stuck in this lower dimensional space. First was removed on the around us completely, and the one that is where CERN was actually not only holding the sub-frequency, but it was also opening portals and gates and things from the lower dimensional realms and into this place that they had no ability to get here without them opening those doors. So a lot of what's happening with the Golden Dome system is the replacement of that old frequency net that was a lower dimensional frequency net to the 5-dimensional frequency and above. And so that is what was originally here and was actually replaced with the one that kept us all entrapped and ensnared in the lower dimensional space.
Now, is that Golden Dome all over the Earth or just over the U.S.?
Everywhere.
It's everywhere. Is that through Starlink?
Starlink is a part of it, yes.
Okay.
Yes, Starlink's a part of it. And so what people have to understand, and they get so focused on these individuals, right, and who they were. Well, the wers and the Rs are not the same things. There are the 2.0s that are in positions that they are now, and they were placed there on purpose. The olds are no more, and the news are who they are. I'm just going to leave it at that.
Right.
Well, and so people are so focused on those olds, like wanting the justice for that old. Well, the justice for that old already happened.
Right.
And the news are the ones that are being used to bring forth those things that are the change. And people are still focused on what was versus what is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree.
But they can't see past it.
Right.
And that's just too bad.
Do you have any idea when we're going to have the tribunals where that will be aired?
Michigan families can't afford Mike Rogers, but big corporations sure can. Rogers took more than $1 million from big drug companies and voted against lowering prescription prices. So unless you're going to give Mike Rogers millions, you shouldn't vote for him.
It's another Saturday and the fans are frozen in suspense for the penalties.
Wait, how did that get there?
Ha, that is a smart move.
So those should actually start this year.
Okay. And have you heard that we're supposed to have, when all of that and disclosure happens, supposed to have 3 days of 8-hour long segments of this, or 10 days? There's a lot of confusion on that. What have you heard on the airing of those?
So that is coming. Those were things that were on-off probabilities, and that was the manipulation of the timelines and whether or not they were or were not going to actually happen. But from the way that I see things right now, those are definitely coming. Okay. And how they're going to manifest or be brought forth is going to be through multiple events that bring us to a state of precipice. It's coming.
What about using the EBS or EAS or the Mars?
So that's a part of it. That's actually what's going to happen. So the events are going to lead us to a place of enough is enough and I can't take it anymore. And I mean, absolutely. And that's when the systems are going to be activated. on purpose, because that's the ability for people to be able to be given information about what they need to do, as well as what is expected of them, but also to be able to inform the public of what is actually happening.
Mm-hmm.
And so everybody's been like, well, is it going to be the financial system? Is it going to be this that's going to cause it? No, but that is a part of what is going to cause it. So if you can imagine that the collapse of the financial system in totality be a part of it, then how bad could it be? It's going to be pretty, and it has to be. And the reason that I say that is because it has to actually touch physically and emotionally every single person in their reality.
Well, that's what they did with the 1929 Great Depression. I mean, that touched everybody.
Yes and no. Those people that were on the financial side of the...
Well, they were fine, yes.
Yes. These people on the financial side of this are not going to be fine.
Right.
There are going to be no fines. No fines. And that's the whole point, because I live around people that if finances, if they're not too concerned with $100 oil,
mm-hmm.
they don't give a shit. They just don't care. I work in the energy industry right now. And because of that, that means we just make more money. Let it go as high as you want. Yeah, things are going to cost more, but I'm going to make a whole lot more.
Right.
And so, and that's the mentality of the people that I'm around. Okay. Now I know the consequences of that, but that's not the point. The point is that until you actually do something that causes them, in which their God is their money and their security, then that is what's going to shake them. Mm-hmm. And so other people, it's different things. So it is designed specifically that each of these events will actually touch everyone. Not just the rich, not just the poor, not just the well-to-do and the healthy, and all are going to be touched. And so because of that, that is why there are succession of events that do cross all these boundaries.
Got it.
That's where you get to the point where people are now at a precipice, not just a portion of the people, but the people,
right.
And I mean all people, are at that point of precipice of the collapse of society and the world. Yes.
I want to ask you about med beds, because somebody...
Oh boy, she's going to be talking about med beds. Lucy, I hope your mom's listening from yesterday. We are about 16 minutes left.
It said the software is not ready for the med beds yet. I hear they are ready. Just curious what you can say on med beds, if they are ready, completely ready to be released.
So the med beds have been finished and around for a long time now. They've been being used by the military for a long time. They have been...
Life's little missions make the biggest impacts. That's why USAA Bank has no hidden fees and member benefits like a nationwide fee-free ATM network. So every dollar counts. USAA Bank, taking care of our own.
Molly loves her Dental Life dog treats. They taste great, help clean her teeth.
Systematically put into communities all around the country, and basically all around the world as well. and they are still closed off to the public. There's hospitals where there's entire floors that have already been put in for that specifically, and they're ready to go, but there is no access to it right now. And it is being controlled by the military. And once that opens up to the public, the people that are that need them the most will be able to have access to them the quickest, because they are going to change people's realities within just a matter of minutes.
Right.
But the other part of that is that just because your physical reality changes, your mental reality does not. If you've been living as a paraplegic your whole life and all of a sudden you can walk, reality is still that you're a paraplegic. So mindset has to be dealt with on top of that. And so there's other parts of the realities that are a part of going forward that people don't even consider at the moment. But yes, those technologies are available. They are here. They are coming. But until the removal of the threat of any bad elements are removed, because what people have to really grasp is the technology that is available that can create life and sustain life forever. It truly can also destroy the reality of this world instantaneously. With much power comes much actual responsibility.
Right.
And that is not getting out of the bag until it's safe to. Period. And I mean completely safe.
Got it. Well, I know you have to go. Any final words you want to say to the audience?
I just want to encourage people to begin to live their lives as there's no tomorrow. And I don't mean being stupid by not doing things that are responsibilities, but I mean as in living your life today, not waiting till tomorrow gets here. Get out and find who you are again, and quit living in what happened in the past and that you're traumatized because of whatever happened whenever.
Mm-hmm.
Live in what your reality is today, and it's can change if you get out of the victim mindset and start to remember that you are a son, you are a daughter of the creator of everything that is. And you are directly tied into that. Remember who you are, not what they told you, not what they keep telling you, but when you separate yourself from the noise of this world and allow yourself to go inside and love yourself, who you are, not for what they want you to be or what they tell you to be, and to become your authentic self. That is probably one of the most important things that you could hear in this, is to start becoming your authentic self and finding what your authentic self is, because people don't even know anymore, because they're so conditioned that I have to do this, and if I don't do this, then what are they going to think about me? I don't care what you think about me in that aspect, because only thing that I care about is what I see as my relationship to my spirit and to my creator and to what I know to be good, meaning how I actually live my life day to day. I'm not going to do anything that's going to intentionally hurt someone and to cause intentional pain to an individual that is.
You shot, take it.
Maybe this should be the
Essential.
last commercial.
Change the equation with supercharged hydration.
PetSmart's app helps you find the perfect pet care. We also have Store.
Spiteful
10
or
minutes.
mean or any of those things. Those are things of being self-responsible and sovereign, taking responsibility for yourself. And so in that, if you don't like who I am or what I believe, well, that's okay. You can go on about your business. I don't care, because I'm not living my life for what you perceive as right or wrong. Because most of the time, it's pretty effed up what you think to begin with. Because why? Because you're so indoctrinated with the crap of this world that you don't understand what is or is not. So why should I focus myself on what I believe to be right or wrong in a lie in which you believe to be true? So in that, it's like, even a lot of the things that I talked about earlier with spirituality and religion and all of that, and me having the experiences that I have versus the experience that my wife actually believes, they're not the same. And that's okay, because I don't focus on the fact that I'm right, she's wrong, and so on and so forth. What I do actually focus on is that enough of the beliefs that she has and I have are common and similar, in the fact that in the end, which is coming in a different way, because it's not the end of the story, but it's the beginning of the new story. But in that, all things are going to be revealed. And at that point, she's going to be there to hold me up, and I'm going to be there to hold her up. And no matter what those things actually are, whether I'm right or wrong, or whether she's right or wrong, if we've been there to support each other, then we're going to still be there to support each other then. And so that's why I say it's so important right now, because things are going to be disclosed to people that is going to challenge who they think they are, who they believe they are. Because the Spirit of the Lord, a long time ago, I was going to Bible college, and I was really wanting to be, a minister. I really was. And he pulled me out of all that stuff. God did. Said, nope, you're going back to captainships, you're offshore again, you're going off. And I was so mad. I argued with God. And when you argue with God, you're going to get to about the third I said, and you're going to agree. Because it doesn't, the tone in the saying doesn't change, but the authority behind it does. And you will understand it. And it's like, okay, fine. So I did, and I left it all, and I went back, and I was so mad for a freaking year or more. And he would never tell me why. He pulled me out of school and pushed me back out there, and the darkness and so on and so forth. Never said nothing, but he would talk to me about anything else I wanted to know. Didn't matter. Somebody else's problems, I'd be there to be able to talk about such things that they'd ask me how I even know what I know about them, right? It was like, well, the Lord told me and wanted me to tell you this, and so on and so forth. And it's like, then one night, it was about 2:00 in the morning in the middle of the Gulf, and he said, son, you want to know why I put you back out here? It's like, yeah, I've been asking forever. And basically it was like, because I wanted to be the one that taught you about me, and not the world teaching you who I am. because that's what I was doing. Is I was taking the hardest classes, and one of the ones I was in was how to study God's word. Basically, it was the hardest class on the entire school. It was the hardest one, and I took it right off the bat, thinking, I'm going to teach me how to do this. Yeah, it taught me. But the thing is that what I was doing is I was just filling myself with all of the head knowledge with no actual experience or understanding of it. And he's like, son, you got all of the knowledge in the world of what the word says and so on and so forth. And he's like, my nuggets are all in there and you don't know where they're at. Because that was them speaking to you about me, which that ain't me. But my nuggets are all in there and I'm going to show them to you. But I had to be the one that was your teacher, not the school, because your head would have been puffed up and look at me. I got this, I done that, and this is who I am. And it would have taken me in a direction he never wanted me to go, which I didn't think this would be ever where I was at either, doing what I'm doing now, 25 years later. And so that's the thing is that he's like, now what you have is who I am, and you have the knowledge of who I am, but you also have the experience of who I am. So now you can speak on it with wisdom. Mm-hmm. Because what you say, to be true, because I have actually shown it to you, and it's real. Before, it was just theory. Well, this is what it says, so this is what you have to believe. And so that's the difference between faith and knowing. Faith is actually believing something that you believe to be true, but you don't know it to be true, but you believe it to be true. That's what faith is. Knowing something to be true is experiencing it. That's what Christ had. Christ knew who he was, and he knew all that he was actually about. He didn't have faith. People want to say he was the most faithful. He knew who he was from the word go. Mm-hmm. And so when you know who you are and you know who these things are, just like I said, remember. When you remember who you are, all of a sudden, that knowing.
Join Planet Fitness for $1 down and get up to 3 free months of Apple Music. No commitment. Deal ends July 31st.
Every Walmart Plus member knows free delivery means unexpected guests of any size are not a problem. Carl looks like he can.
That knowing
just about over you guys
begins to just permeate your existence. Sometimes you don't even know how you know things, right? Because they're just a part of your remembrance. Right. And that's the thing is that this is why what's happening, the Great Awakening, is so much more than financial, so much more than the corruption and justice. And it is about everything, elevating us from this lower dimensional realm of reality into a completely new reality that unless you've actually been present in it, you can't even perceive it yet. Right. Because you don't have the eyes to see it yet. But you will, and it's coming. And that's why so many people focus on I'll believe it when I see it, because that's how their whole reality has always been. Mm-hmm. Well, they're gonna see it, they're gonna experience it, and when that happens, it's gonna be overwhelming for people, in a lot of good ways, but also a lot of bad ways. And people can only handle so much change at a given time. And so it has to be metered, because if not, they will break down in complete chaos. And this is something that is very well known. And so that's why things are happening the way that they are.
Well, thank you for being on the show and sharing your wisdom with everybody. And I hope everybody got some major nuggets to carry you through, to get you to the other side that we're all going to get to. It's just a matter of time. But, you know, like Captain Kyle said, we have to live in the here and now and in the reality that we have. And don't keep putting off things that you need to do. Do it today. Live today in the here and now. Thank you. It was a pleasure having you on. I'd love to have you back again.
Absolutely. I loved it. Thank you, Holly.
Oh. All right. So we got all the big videos out. Now try to get an hour. One more hour in and get all the short videos. Get the short videos in now. I think, see what I got first. I got a minute one on Taylor Swift. So we'll do the short ones. I do got, shoot. I might be able to do Kennedy's video. I want to get a lot of short ones in. I don't want to play her. Okay, this is about 6 minutes, you guys. Part 2. I don't know. Part 1.
Designed to cruise at subsonic speeds where its operating economics were terrible. But Boeing concluded that an oblique wing airliner would have none of these problems because it would be capable of flying efficiently at a range of speeds and cruise at up to Mach 1.2 without even generating a sonic boom that could be heard on the ground. And that would allow for transcontinental flights over populated areas 50% faster than existing airliners. Power requirements for takeoff, landing, and holding around busy airports would also be a lot lower, dramatically cutting noise and pollution around airports. NASA was impressed enough to take the next leap forward. In 1976, development began on a scaled-down version of Boeing's design. Not a remotely operated model, but the world's first human-piloted oblique-wing aircraft. NASA's objectives were ambitious, but the 81 was modest in design, built mostly from fiberglass reinforced plastic and foam core. Two tiny jet engines provided less than 500 pounds of thrust for motivation. The cockpit had only the bare essentials, no fly-by-wire or computer assistance. It would be flown entirely by the skilled hands of a test pilot. Built on a shoestring budget, many at NASA were cautious about investing huge resources into a still unproven concept. But the 81 would back up NASA's research with real-world data. In a total of 79 test flights, the 81's wing was gradually pivoted from 0 all the way to 60 degrees. Even flown entirely by hand, control was fairly straightforward, and at lower pivot angles, any reasonably skilled pilot could manage. But above 45 degrees, maneuvering was more challenging, with a phenomenon called cross-coupling becoming an issue. Pitching the 81 up or down caused it to roll left or right, while rolling left or right caused it to pitch up or down. At a full 60 degrees, pilots had to continually bank and yaw to the right to keep the aircraft flying straight and level. None of these issues were all that surprising, and data gathered showed that the 81 would have handled significantly better with an improved wing structure and the help of a computerized flight control system. But the 81 maxed out at just 320 kilometers an hour, nowhere near the transonic speeds where oblique wings could begin to show their potential. For that, NASA would have to turn to a renowned Navy fighter jet. By the 1980s, the U.S. Navy had also taken an interest in oblique wings, because an oblique wing fighter could offer superior takeoff performance from a carrier and increased loiter time. Both were prized capabilities for a next-generation fleet defense fighter to replace the F-14. In 1984, the Navy and NASA signed a joint partnership to develop the first supersonic oblique testbed, and the FA Crusader was an ideal place to start. Its high wing could be modified to accommodate an oblique wing, and NASA had already experimented with the F-8 to develop fly-by-wire technologies. A modest $36 million were allocated to the project. Design work was to finish by 1986, construction by 1990, and the first test flight was planned for May 1991. But after a successful design phase, the aircraft never got off the ground. In 1986, the Navy, caught up in deep budget deficits and cost overruns on other experimental programs, suddenly pulled funding. NASA couldn't carry the program alone, nor could it find a new partner. In 1987, the project was officially canceled. After nearly half a century, intensive research into oblique-wing aircraft largely came to an end. Jones never gave up on the oblique wing. He continued his research into the 1990s, even at the age of 80, eventually shifting his attention to the development of a pure oblique flying wing, a concept that promised to be the pinnacle of aerodynamic efficiency and fly at Mach 1.5, with operating economics approaching that of a modern subsonic transport. Over the years, dozens of studies have demonstrated the potential of the oblique wing, and in NASA's own words, it remains a viable concept for large transports. But real-world advantages at transonic and supersonic speeds have yet to be tested in flight, and the challenges of flying at extreme wing pivots remain. Modern flight control technologies would go a long way to help realize the advantages. But the aviation industry is conservative by nature. Aircraft today look strikingly similar to those designed over half a century ago. The reality is, it's less risky for the industry to spend billions eking out single-digit gains in efficiency with a proven design than it is to start from scratch with a radical concept like the oblique wing. And that's why well-funded research programs like NASA's 81 are invaluable to the advancement of aerospace. Jones passed away in 1999, having made some of the most important discoveries in the history of aerodynamics. And his groundbreaking research has left many convinced that, despite obstacles, it's only a matter of time before oblique wings take to the skies. Aviation is full of big ideas, but some of them are a little bigger than others. In 1969, Lockheed set out to determine just how large an aircraft could get and what it would mean for U.S. air power. Lockheed's 6,000-ton nuclear-powered aircraft carriers are some of the most fascinating and bizarre aircraft ever imagined. You can learn about the incredible CL-1201 in my latest video.
So that was something different, a history lesson there. What you call it, I guess. Okay, I got that girl, the NBA girl, woman that stood up to the transition woman there. 5 minutes.
I mean, I think I said what I said. I think it's kind of common sense. And I think I'll always believe in that. I think it's really important to protect children. And that's little girls who are also involved in that category. And so I stand on what I said, and I always believe that.
Yeah. Do you see your advocacy on that, like taking any form going forward?
You know, I don't know. I'm not a very political person, but I do have beliefs. I have morals, and I'll always stand on those and be true to who I am. And I think people are going to take it how they want to take it, but I've never even really said anything about that. And so when it comes just to protecting young girls in sport and women in sport, I feel very strongly about that. I think that's why you have Title IX. That's why you have some of the greats in women's sports. If Title IX and women's sports weren't protected, then you wouldn't hear about any type of women in sport. And so I think in the future, it's just really important to protect.
Do you think, I guess along the line like that, it goes against perhaps
about.
Some people might say, hey, for the trans community, this could be something that could come back on us or be targeted against us. Like, how do you, I guess, view that sort of critique?
You know, like I said, I extend love, and I don't dislike anyone. Like, I think there is room for absolutely everyone here, and I think there's room to love everyone. And I truly think when you get people in the same room and you have conversations, you actually have a lot in common with a lot of people. And so I'm there to love, but I'm also there to love biological women, and I think that there are rights that need to be protected. And like I said, I'm going to stand true to that. I'll never falter in my beliefs in that, but I have never once said I hated the trans community. Like I said, I think there's space for everyone.
Sophie, what about Connecticut tonight? Tell us a little bit about the game. What are you thinking about keys or
Brittany, you know her so well.
Yeah, I think it has been so fun. I played with BG for 6 years, and so I know her like the back of my hand. And as of late, she's been playing really good. She's been playing like OG Brittany, and so we have our hands full down in the paint. I really think actually Connecticut is playing really good as a whole. I think everyone's playing their role really well from top to bottom. They don't go out there and do anything outside of what they do, and that makes it difficult. And so, yeah, you can look at standings and where they're at in the league, but when you do that in this league, you're going to get beat by 50. And so we have one more game before break, and we cannot take this game lightly at all. And so we have to come out with following our scout, following our game plan offensively, making them play us into what we do. But BG's a load for anybody.
Last one I have, Sophie. How do you, I guess, navigate a climate where whatever you say, people are going to say, well, this means you're automatically in this box or this label or that label, politically, morally, whatever?
I really don't care. I know that sounds bad, and I'm not trying to come off like that, but I do think, everyone always is coming at it as a negative. Well, me coming out with that, there's so many people who are coming out with the positive saying, you know what, finally someone has said something. And I don't really look at either side of those, because I know whatever I say, I'm going to get hate and I'm going to get love. And if I'm going to live by the love, I'm going to die by the hate. And that's just not who I am. I beat to my own drum. And so people are always going to have something to say. You could win the championship. You could be the best at whatever it is. And there's still people who are going to hate on you. And so that's just what this world is. So I'm confident in who I am. I'm proud of who I am. I'm happy being me. I'm going to continue to be that.
You always had kind of that mentality when it comes to, people saying things, or is that something you've built and learned to adapt over time?
I think I've always kind of been able to, handle that type of pressure, I would say, and the type of eyes and the type of people who have comments. And like I said, there's, going to be some negative comments, but there's also a whole bunch of positive comments too that no one really ever, people hate positivity for some reason. I have no idea why, but there's a lot of positive comments too when it comes to that. And so, it is what it is. Like I said, we're all human. We're no one's perfect here. And so I really don't care what other people have to say. I know who I am. My people know who I am. And hopefully I'm doing them proud and making room for young boys and girls in our world to have a better future than we did.
All right, that was an important one there, and Vinny has a video on it.
And afraid he spent too much money. I also know that we had an election and he lost.
Harry Johnson, trashing Trump, trashing you.
How stupid can you be?
I want to talk about, just really quickly, what's going on and how much victory that we've had in the culture wars. It's incredible. So Sophie Cunningham is a WNBA player who's famous for the point. Do we have the point? Hey, Alex, we don't have the point. I'm gonna literally stand here and wait for the point. We're gonna stand here and wait. Oh, there it is. Okay, there's the point. There it is. Oh, yeah. Hey-o. What up, Soph? So this has been memed 100 million times. Can we please grab like the greatest memes of all of this? It's free for all Friday, so let's do it. So Sophie Cunningham is famous for her pointing, also famous for protecting Caitlin Clark. She's a national hero, former Iowa Hawkeye like me. And she just gave an interview to ESPN where she said the thing that we have all been waiting for a female athlete to say, are like for the last 10 years of a fever dream, where these poor female athletes have had to shut up and sit down because men are there to beat them up. That's what we've just lived through. So let men domestically abuse you and your daughters, your wives, your kids on the court, win Olympic gold medals, and you're not allowed to say anything about it. And that's what happened. And the women were like culled into silence. It's totally and completely beautiful. I love that. Totally and completely evil. And now Sophie Cunningham, who's at, by the way, the height of her fame right now, says, I got a lot of negative feedback when asked about the trans issue by ESPN. And I'm like, don't care. I think that I'm here to extend love, but I also think that love is truth and being honest. And I want to protect young girls in the locker room, young girls in a sport who shouldn't have to go against a biological man. Now, why is that important that Sophie Cunningham just said that? And she doubled down on it, actually, when asked about it in an interview here. The reason why it's important that she said that is because, one, it's the breaking of the fever dream that men and women are the same and that mentally ill men should be allowed to go out and beat up women or to change with them in a locker room. Obviously, that's just pure perversion. It's crime. It's actually crime, right? So not only is it a criminal offense, but also from a cultural perspective, not just a criminal perspective, from a cultural perspective, to have the most famous WNBA player saying this and being able to base it on truth. Notice how she says it here. Love is truth. So what is truth exactly? Truth is the first book of Genesis. God maketh you man and woman. That's what he says. God makes man and woman. He makes them distinct. He makes them with different roles. He makes them different, and that's, by the way, biological reality. Certainly, there are some very strong women, very fast women, but the reality is that men, on average, are much stronger, much faster, much taller, much bigger, have faster twitch muscles, have very different muscle growth capacities. Women have other, by the way, advantages biologically. Women have higher endurance levels. The way that oxygen, the way they can reoxygenate is faster than men. There are biological advantages, disadvantages, whatever you want to call them. We're just different. And that's just the reality. And we're different down to our very bones and down to our very cellular structure. Like, it doesn't matter what you put into you, but it doesn't matter how many times you're cast as Achilles, right? Like, when an archaeologist digs up your bones, they'll look at the chromosomes and say, XX or XY. You were a woman or a man. And you ain't going to be able to change that. And so that's like, it's so wonderful to see somebody with such fame say this. Here's Sophie Cunningham. I can't wait to talk with legendary Auburn basketball coach Bruce Pearl about this. Here she is.
That same vein, in that story with ESPN, you talked about wanting to protect young girls who shouldn't have to go against biological men. Just can you expand your viewpoint on that?
I mean, I think I said what I said. I think it's kind of common sense. And I think I'll always believe in that. I think it's really important to protect children. And that's little girls who are also involved in that category. And so I stand on what I said, and I always believe that.
Yeah. Do you see your advocacy on that, like, taking any form going forward?
You know, I don't know. I'm not a very political person, but I do have beliefs. I have morals, and I'll always stand on those and be true to who I am. And I think people are going to take it how they want to take it, but I've never even really said anything about that. And so when it comes just to protecting young girls in sport and women in sport, I feel very strongly about that. I think that's why you have Title IX. That's why you have some of the greats in women's sport.
Peace. Peace. This is us winning the culture war.
5 minutes.
A man who's been winning and continues to win for 11 seasons as the Auburn Tigers men's basketball coach, now currently at America First Policy Institute, working on the American Dream, Faith, and Family. Bruce Pearl, ladies and gentlemen, joins us live now.
Special guest.
What up, Coach?
What's up, Benny? How strong is Sophie? She's winning right there, man.
Incredibly strong. I can't wait to get your take on this. So the floor is yours, Coach. I mean, this is people don't. I think that's being very understated how powerful it is to have the single most popular female athlete and meme on the internet making this stance for common sense. A stance that, by the way, would have gotten you deplatformed. If she had said that a couple years ago, you would have been deplatformed. And now it's mainstream, and libs have no answer to that.
Well, Benny, thanks to you and many others, this is what the silent majority looks like. Okay, this is how most Americans feel. We just don't talk about it as much as the other side does. Good for Sophie. What would you do to protect your wife? What would you do to protect your daughters? Like anything. And that's how every man in this country should feel about our young girls and their ability to participate in sports right now. Benny, back in the day when you grew up in Iowa, they were playing basketball differently than 5-on-5. It was still the old 3-on-3 and this group playing offense. There was some, that's all changed now. But women should be able to play in women's sports and be great and be champions and get treated the same way that the men are treated. But they got to be separate. Otherwise, it is not safe for our girls and our women to be able to compete. And so good for our country that we finally got in a place where we can have this discussion. I'm proud of our universities. I'm proud of Title IX as the basketball coach at Iowa at one time, and Tennessee and Auburn, different places like that. We recognized that we were filling up our stadiums and we were making some revenue. And a lot of that money went to fund the non-revenue sports, the Olympic sports, and yes, the women's sports. It was the right thing to do then. It's the right thing to do now. And good for Sophie Cunningham for standing up and saying what we all think.
Please, what is your, you've, of course, been around college sports for 3 decades, correct? And so you've seen athletes come and go. What does it say to have an athlete like Sophie Cunningham out here saying this?
Well, I think it gives others courage and hope to be able to continue to say that. Benny, when I was at Auburn, we said that we were sort of an everything school. To whom much is given, much is expected. I was always going to other sports, getting my teams to go to those other sports and supporting them. And I'm old enough to remember at a time when, where the women were not treated fairly, and their ability for opportunities for scholarship, their abilities to be able to compete, the money just wasn't there, and it's there now. And it takes great players like Caitlin Clark to be able to go into the WNBA and in 2 years become one of the best players, one of the best female players on the planet, and knowing that, where does she stand? It's all about her faith. It's all about her work ethic. It's all about her being grateful that this country gave her and other women the opportunity to be able to participate. So I think this is fantastic. I'm happy for my daughters and I'm happy for my grandchildren.
So, Sophie Cunningham is now becoming quite a rock star and a role model, actually.
Well, she is, and there's a bit of sadness to that. Sometimes you get thanked for simply just doing the right thing or being a good person or trying to things that God would have you do. You're not doing them for the thanks, you do them for God's glory, so on and so forth. But it is a shame, Benny, when simple conduct, simple statements like that, we actually need to take time and praise it because it's so rare nowadays.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Just a final question about this. What is it like what would you say to Sophie Cunningham as a coach? Because some coaches would be like, stay away from that, don't touch that issue. You're going to get bad headlines. Obviously, you're going to get a ton of hate. You get death threats, right? This very violent contingent of society.
Well, Benny, I think they say don't talk about religion and politics. Okay, the greatest way you can hurt somebody's feelings is to ignore them. So if we don't talk about God, if we don't worship God, if we don't pray, if we don't have conversations about how we believe about the Lord, we're ignoring him. And that hurts his feelings more than anything else because he wants to be in that relationship. We should be able to talk about politics. And we should be able to talk about it in such a way where there are some things that we can agree to disagree. But we need to be able to have these conversations. We need to be able to have them peacefully, and we need to be able to have them, civilly. And there's no other country in the world, well, there are a few others, but not many, where those freedoms exist.
So you'd be proud of Sophie if she was your player right now?
100%.
All right. That was 2 good ones there. I got a couple of photos here before we get to the next video. The currency money, that people that knows what this is. Oh wait, I'm gonna read this real quick. $11,000 politicians and elites receive an exemption for the word. This is shocking. Okay. Dang it. And I'm going to show the other photo. All right. There's, I don't know what that is, but Flying Eagle, you know what this is, right? People that know currency stuff. Next one's going to be 8 minutes. I'm going to finish off with the 15-minute Kennedy video when I get to the last video.
Hey everybody, this is Holly. Friend Scott Brunswick. This is what he was allowed to share and everything he can confirm that he put in print. We are hearing very good news from great sources. It is understood at levels not visible to the public that QFS is fully operational and conducting business to ensure all transactions throughout the world are functioning at a proper pace and properly functioning in all areas, and if an issue surfaces, adjustments are made to satisfy systems. Sources are saying all is working well and they do not see any issues moving forward. If anything does happen, the technicians are ready for anything thrown at them. Things are connecting at the major banking institutions with the transition to a brand new system. This is global. Yes, it involves 209 countries moving from a fiat system to a gold-backed structure, transitioning to gold-backed currencies. Nessera and Gessera are at the forefront of most meetings. The complete overhaul is happening before our eyes. Many are calling this the final phase of complete transition. Yes, the ISO 20022 standard is highlighted as the new baseline for the QFS, which is huge. And I can also confirm what he's saying from my sources. The information I was waiting for is here below. I can confirm that a main country, we know the name, Iraq, has had a representative complete all necessary tasks on their end for their currency to become tradable. This country is the catalyst to the entire GCR, the Global Currency Reset. Signatures and documents signed and ready. Nothing left to be done in reality. The approved documents went through the proper channels to ensure validity. Last week saw tons of progress from across the globe on multiple fronts. But let me reiterate what I've said for months and longer. This is the kickoff for Tier 4 kickoff, and Tier 4B goes when the tiers prior complete their transactions, which will take a bit. So please save yourself some headache and not get caught up in the hoopla and false hope. It will leave you empty chasing things that aren't a reality. Are we close? Yes, but this is a process with detailed precision. So the group's processing will be under direct orders to follow exact protocols that are given to them. This includes law and orders, executive orders, and very strict NDAs to ensure protection. And keep in mind, this is not date-driven, so anyone telling you dates are wild guessing. If you call it to happen on a daily basis or weekly basis, you'll be right eventually. There are more things happening, however, no more details can be given at this time, as I'm not at liberty to discuss in depth, but it is great news. Actually, it's awesome news, my friend. Just so you know, we are at the point in the movie where there is virtually nothing left to be done. What you're witnessing now is a reenactment of events that have already taken place. As many have said, it all happens twice, first in real time, then in public reenactment, so everybody can see it unfold. When you understand that perspective, you realize why I refer to it as a movie. From that viewpoint, much of the information being shared now is simply refurbished version of events that will ultimately be revealed publicly via full disclosure. That is also why I believe President Trump has remained consistent in what he has said. He really is never wrong in reference to the movie. At this stage, I don't feel the need to post a lot of additional information. We are truly in the final phase, which is pretty obvious. There is little left to do, to add to. Now it's simply a matter of watching the remaining pieces come together for public display.
I got a troll.
In the meantime, be patient and read my morning prayer. God bless you, Scott Brunswick. I can confirm with everything that Scott said. We're still waiting for the Clarity Act to be passed. And that, I would say, probably will be sometime in August. Now, I just did a podcast with Captain Kyle.
Carol, do you see
and
the
I told
name
him I'm
there?
going to steal this from him. We
Mods?
were talking offline. He said everybody right now is living a live audition for your future self. Where do you want to be? Where do you see yourself? You're being prepared right now for that future self.
Yep,
So
getting the truth
every
out,
day,
right, Angie?
by the words you speak,
They
by
don't like
the
the truth.
actions you do, by the seeds that you sow, your words, deeds, and actions. It's a live audition every single day on the world stage for your
Somebody get
future.
that troll there?
So how do you want to end up? Speak kind words. Sow positive thoughts. Sow words of kindness. Be uplifting. Be positive. Be helpful. Speak kindly to yourself. So many people do horrible self-talk. Be kind to others. Do what you can for others around you.
Thanks, Mom.
And that's your live audition. If you knew every day you're showing up and you're live auditioning and you're going to get that leading role in that future event, well, you want to put on your best self and be as positive and optimistic and show up being the person you want to be. So I will leave you with that. We're just in a waiting mode right now.
Okay, credit that to Holly there. Another good video. All right, I got 1 8-minute a news thing from Michigan I got to play. It's 8 minutes. I got JMR on TikTok is 6 minutes. I'm going to finish off with Kennedy. About 3 more videos. Oh, wait, I got to do these real quick. I got some short ones I want to get out.
Too, but why should it matter to you?
Do what they want. I don't. I'm not here to be the belief police around here. I'm not here to be the belief police around here. I'm not here to be the belief police around here.
But isn't there concern that, this slippery slope towards socialism inevitably ends up as full-blown communism? I mean, no?
concerned about America turning into a communist country in like a year.
Yeah, but what about America turning into a communist country in a year and a half, AOC?
It's like, I think that is, oh, sorry. Yes. I think that's, I think it's very silly. I think you just think about how impossible it has been to raise the minimum wage in America in 10, 15, 20 years. We can't even raise the minimum wage. Do Republicans really think that this stuff is going to happen? No, they don't. They're trying to scare people.
I'm not living in communist America. I mean, I know that the talking point is that, well, it's not communism, it's socialism. Okay, I've read the quotes from the DSA platform, from their own mouths. Don't tell me I'm not seeing what I am seeing. And DSA, again, they say things like, you know, takeover of key industries, government. That's communism.
They're trying to scare people because they don't want us talking about the fact that we all have a right to health care in this country. So they want to call it communist, and they want to call everything they don't like communist, because if people actually wake up to the fact that their elected officials are screwing them over when they get here, then they're going to realize that they deserve better, and that healthcare as a right isn't crazy. It isn't pie in the sky. They want to call this stuff communist because they don't want us to realize that the rest of the developed world has guaranteed healthcare in this country. So they want to call it communist because they don't want you to know that Germany, Italy, the UK, Canada, everybody else has it better than us, and we spend the most amount of money for the worst care in the modern developed world.
But Democrats will say the moment they regain power, they will pack the
Sorry, guys. Y'all safe here. Oh, what's your name? Brandon.
And Brandon for the save, so Alexandria doesn't have to try to squirm her way out of these questions.
Do what they want. I'm not here to be the belief police around here.
All right. Yeah, I'm going to get you that Michigan news here. 8 minutes, and the last one will be the 15 one.
Have you personally signed any NDA, any agreement, or had any private communication, such as meetings, phone calls, text messages, or emails with any developer, company, landowner, or representative regarding any current or potential project that could affect Tyrone Township? Chris Robetta.
No.
Dean?
No.
Jennifer?
I'm not answering your question. This is not the time and place.
I can ask you whatever I want. Don't tell me what I can
But
say.
we don't have to answer you.
But you're communicating with me, Jennifer. I didn't think you were supposed to do that. Greg Carnes, how about you? Yes or no?
Not the place. We've already discussed this, so.
Who's already discussed it? I'm sorry? Who's already discussed it?
It's been discussed.
Who has? Who's discussed it? I've not discussed this with you.
Good.
What are you saying? Pam Moffler? Yes or no?
Check this out. We're generating the doors with Firefly. Oh, that's sick. Give me some ideas.
Try a bunch of different colors.
All right, I'm going to put them all together.
Work for us. That's right.
Herman Ferguson? Won't answer? Zach Tucker.
Mike, stop. You say guilty one more time, you're out. I'm not tolerating.
Stop the clock, please. While Greg's talking, I'd like my time back, please.
I don't need the comment in the background.
I need my time back. And quit interrupting me. Zach Tucker? But you answered at the Planning Commission. But you've decided not to answer now.
What the hell is going on? An NDA is a non-disclosure agreement. You are a public official. In order to do service on behalf of the public that empowers you, period. Why would you ever sign a non-disclosure agreement? How is it legal For you to not disclose being a public body, how do you get around the sunshine rule? How do you get around the open records request? An NDA, what the hell are we doing? You all are contracting on behalf of the community and signing non-disclosure agreements as if the community that empowers you and pays you should not have a say-so or even knowledge as to how you are utilizing your power, privilege, and purse. Why would this Michigan resident ask them about NDAs? Here's why.
Quiet country living brought families like father and son Tim and Andy Grosser to these rolling hills in Mason County, Kentucky.
They just want to be out in the country where it's quiet and they can watch the wildlife.
They've tended to cattle and hunted here for more than 30 years. But now that quiet is under threat from a $1 billion data center project that could soon rise just over that ridge. Last spring, the Grossers were offered more than $8 million to sell all 250 acres of their land. That's 35 times what they bought it for in 1988.
This is a good amount of money.
Yeah, but I don't really care how much they offer. I'm just not telling.
When they asked for details about the project, they were given an NDA instead.
The mystery guy slides the paper forward and says, sign this non-disclosure agreement and we'll start answering questions. And we said, well, that's a non-starter.
County officials telling NBC News they signed non-disclosure agreements with the same company last spring, hoping to secure hundreds of millions of dollars in investment from one of the top 5 tech companies in the U.S. building out its AI infrastructure. They agreed to keep the company's name secret.
49 states were all reporting the exact same issues that you are and the concerns that they had. Number one was at a local level, non-disclosures, they weren't included. There wasn't a seat at the table. And how did this happen? 2, for people that are already in the areas that are up and running with data centers, is the rise in electric bills. And everyone has the same concern about what about the water? What about the loss of land? Noise is a big issue in the ones that are running and affecting people. What's going to happen to the wildlife? So there's so many unanswered questions at the community level, not getting it from the city council.
It's a damn shame. Put it up full mass. We've been reporting on these data centers for a while at Indisputable. The resident of Tyrone Township, Michigan, expressed her concern about the city council and members signing NDAs to companies wanting to build data centers in their community. That is a reasonable complaint. She has every right to be concerned. Consider residents of another city in Michigan. They are being driven nuts by the ceaseless high-pitched hum of a nearby data center. Here's the noise that the residents have to endure now all day and night.
You can see it's in the high 58s, 59s to 60s.
That's just the tip of the iceberg. In any other jurisdiction, you call that noise pollution. The entity creating that noise pollution would be fined. If they do not comply, they would be shut down. That's not happening with these data centers. Also in Michigan, Salem Township, where the $16 billion Stargate AI data center, which is being built despite a township board voting to reject it. Unsurprisingly, the few thousand residents of the small community of Salem Township, Michigan, were worried about OpenAI and Oracle's massive new $16 billion Stargate Center. Their concerns cover the usual issues: excessive water usage, the power draw on the regional grid, a huge increase in traffic, and the transformation of agricultural land into industrial campus. The project, developed by Related Digital, was originally presented as a $7 billion facility before its price tag more than doubled. It is tied to Oracle and OpenAI Stargate infrastructure push, the $500 billion plan to build the compute backbone needed for the next generation of AI services, including ChatGPT. Residents assumed they had killed the proposal last year when the township board voted 4-1 to reject the rezoning request. 2 days later, Related Digital and the landowners sued the township, arguing that the rejection amounted to exclusionary zoning because there was no land zoned for industrial use. Within weeks, the township settled and construction eventually began anyway. Even when the will of the people and seemingly the will of the people's representatives have all concluded as to what should happen with the land in those local communities, somehow these data centers are still pushing, coercing, manipulating, and landing these gigs. It is utterly insane and an assault at the fundamental principle of local government and local community control. We will continue to bring you updates.
Okay, that's a new channel there. I'm glad I got that one out. That's big news out of Michigan. So, okay, we made it to the last video, you guys. Kennedy video yesterday. 15 minutes, and everybody have a good weekend, and I'll be probably taking all the way to 6 o'clock tomorrow. Taking extra time, more time on until the evening. We'll have an evening show tomorrow. This will be about 15 minutes, you guys.
Helping each other. Senator John Kennedy absolutely tortured these LGBTQ activists on Congress's floor and asked this one question that none of these activists seem to want to answer. You've got to check this out.
Confess I'm a little confused, and I appreciate the argument or discussion that we've been having, but for me it's a little too conceptual, or I don't know, metaphysical or theological or whatever you want to call it. I want to try to understand what you're asking us to do. Let's take two books that have been much discussed. The first one is called All Boys Aren't Blue, and I will quote from it. I put some lube on and got him on his knees, and I began to slide into him from behind. I pulled out of him and kissed him while he masturbated. He asked me to turn over while he slipped a condom on himself. This was my ass, and I was struggling to imagine someone inside me. He got on top and slowly inserted himself into me. It was the worst pain I think I have ever felt in my life. Eventually, I felt a mix of pleasure with the pain. Close quote. All Boys Aren't Blue. The second is another much discussed book. I'm sure you're familiar with it. It's called Genderqueer. Okay. Let me read an excerpt from that. Quote, I got a new strap-on harness.
This one okay, you guys, Lucy?
I can't wait to put it on you. It will fit my favorite dildo perfectly. You're going to look so hot. I can't wait to have your cock in my mouth. I'm going to give you the blowjob of your life. Then I want you inside of me. End quote. Now, Mr. Secretary, what are you asking us to do? Are you suggesting that only librarians should decide whether the two books that I just referenced
Everybody okay with
should
this one?
be available to kids? Is that what you're saying?
No.
Okay. Tell me what you're saying.
Well, first of all, there's this.
Don't give me a speech. Tell me what you're asking me to do.
With all due respect, Senator, and the words you spoke are disturbing, especially coming out of your mouth is very disturbing. But what I would also tell you that we're not advocating for kids to read porn, to Senator Booker's point.
What are you advocating for?
We are advocating for parents, random parents, not to have the ability, under the guise of keeping kids safe, to try and challenge.
Is this one okay from Kennedy to play or not? I guess he really attacked it, this video. I'll stop whenever if you guys want me to.
The world view of every single manner on these issues.
You're getting conceptual game.
I'm not getting conceptual.
Well,
I'm saying
yes,
that
you are. Yes, you are. Because
thank you, AJ.
I want to know what you're recommending. It sounds to me like what some of you are saying, the librarians should decide who gets to see that book.
I'm saying when individual parents are allowed to make a decision of where that line is, and To Kill a Mockingbird, which involves a rape scene, should that book be pulled from our libraries? I think it becomes a slippery slope.
I think you ought to think about it a little bit more before you come here.
I've thought about it,
If
Senator.
you're going to propose something, you ought to be able, in 30 seconds, to be able to explain what you're asking us to do.
Senator.
Ms. Kelly, what do you understand? Well, let me skip you for a second. Mr. Cameron, tell me what you're proposing.
It's pronounced mix.
Mix? Is that how would you like me to refer to you?
Senator, your definition of sexual is synonymous with LGBTQ identity.
I'm not asking you that. I'm asking you to tell me you read those two excerpts.
Gender
Do you think that, are you asking that only librarians and not parents have any say in whether minors can read those books? Is that what you're saying?
Genderqueer has never been in my school library, so it's never been banned.
Well, suppose it was. Should it be up just to the librarian, or should parents have a say?
There should be facilitation of collaboration between students.
Should parents have a say?
Parents should be working with students and educators to be making decisions, because students are.
And who decides ultimately? The librarian, or do you take a vote, or who takes the vote?
Book review committees in the community in my school district.
You want a committee to decide?
There are committees.
Okay. Well, I'm asking you, how do we decide whether the two books that I just referenced should be available in the library? What would you, if you were running things, what would you do?
All Boys Aren't Blue, the scene you mentioned, is about sexual abuse.
I know what it's about.
It's not
What would you do in terms of making the books available? Would you say anybody can see them, or they have to be in a special session?
Students who do not read books like All Boys Aren't Blue cannot learn what is appropriate.
I understand that.
They cannot learn.
I understand, but none of you want to
abuse.
answer my question. You come here and you say censorship is bad, and of course it's bad. But the obvious response is, okay, you heard the books we're talking about. Okay, we're not talking about Catcher in the Rye. So tell me what you want, who gets to decide. And all I've heard is the librarians. And parents have nothing to do with it. And if that's your response, what planet did you just parachute in from?
Parents, Senator.
Or what country, more appropriately? This is not China.
Parents, Senator, for all due respect, parents absolutely have a say. My parents were immigrants, came to this country. We never checked out books without our parents seeing what books we were reading. They encouraged us to read
Mr.
books.
Secretary, I understand this is good for your politics back home.
It's got nothing to do with my politics. My bill is passed.
Of course it does. It has everything to do with your politics.
I'm here to.
But you
what do you guys think so far? We got 10 or 9 minutes left.
came here with a problem, and I'm trying to understand the solution, and you don't have one.
We solved the solution.
Other than to tell us that we don't agree with you, you're on the wrong. We'll be on the wrong side of history.
We solved the.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Michigan needs conservative leaders who will fight for us. Andrew Beeler will do exactly that. He will support.
Congratulations to all of the nominees.
Thanks for
Judge Mahalchek.
that.
You remember a case called Yentzer v. Potter County?
I have a recollection that I presided over that case. I don't know if I recall the details of it.
Okay. And you were reversed. Is that right?
I believe that was a case that I issued. I was a magistrate judge in that role and in the referral role on it, and it was reviewed by the district court. Yes.
And you were reversed, right?
I don't recall in that case if the report and the recommendation was adopted in full or not adopted.
But yes. The higher court said you incorrectly analyzed qualified immunity and you incorrectly cited the 11th Amendment. Do you remember a case called Myers v. Clinton County Correctional Facility?
I recall that case as well.
And you were reversed in that case too, weren't you?
I believe it was adopted in part, yes.
Do you remember a case called Dennis v. Sheridan?
Yes, I believe I recall that case as well.
And you were reversed in that case too?
I believe that R&R was not adopted in full, correct? Yes.
Okay, but you were reversed.
It was not adopted in, yes.
Is that the same thing as being reversed?
It's a different, the district court declined to adopt the report and
The
recommendation.
higher court said you were wrong.
The district court disagreed with my report, yes.
Yeah, okay. Do you remember a case called Shania v. East Pennsboro?
Yeah, the Shanias are pro se plaintiffs who have brought a number of cases, so I'm not sure which one you're referring to. But yes.
I'm just curious. You were reversed in that case too, were you not?
In part, yes.
Okay. Do you remember a case called Spanier v. Libby?
Yes, I do.
The president of Pennsylvania State University was convicted of covering up child sex abuse crimes. And you let him go on a habeas corpus petition. And the Third Circuit reversed you, is that right?
I directed that a new trial should be held with a different jury instruction, and the Third Circuit disagreed and found that he had received the due process he was entitled to, yes.
Well, the Third Circuit said you failed to cite, analyze, or properly apply the relevant case law. You were reversed, right?
The Third Circuit reversed my decision, yes.
Okay. Do you remember a case called Hassel v. Centric Bank?
I vaguely recall that case, yes, Senator.
You were reversed, weren't you?
I believe the district court declined to adopt my recommendation, yes.
Do you remember a case called Ramsey v. Amtrak?
Yes, I do.
And the higher court reversed you in that case too, didn't they?
The district court concluded that I was correct in finding that the petitioner did not pay a filing fee, and where I had recommended that the case be dismissed, he granted the petitioner 30 days to correct that.
So you were reversed in part?
Yes.
Okay. You remember a case called McCracken v. Fulton County?
Yes, I do.
You were reversed in that case too, weren't you?
I believe that was in part, yes.
You remember a case called Bird v. Britain?
I do.
And were you reversed in that case?
In part, yes.
Okay. You remember You remember a case called Allen v. Lackawanna County Board of Commissioners?
We got about 6 minutes, guys.
I believe I recall that case, Senator.
And you were reversed in that case too, weren't you?
I believe I was reversed in part in that case, yes.
You remember a case called Daniels v. Capital One Bank?
Yes.
And I believe you were reversed in that case too?
I believe it was, yes, I believe so.
Do you remember a case called Downey v. Pennsylvania Department of Corrections?
Yes, I recall that case.
And were you reversed in that case?
Yes, I believe I was.
Remember a case called Region v. Wetzel?
I vaguely recall that case, yes, sir.
And were you reversed by a higher court there too?
I believe that our report and recommendation was not adopted in full.
Okay, I don't have time to finish this list. I mean, it's longer than King Kong's arm here. You've been reversed a lot. In fact, you've been nominated before, haven't you?
No, I have not, sir.
Well, your nomination was talked about, and Senator Toomey refused to send in a blue slip for you, did he not?
I'm not sure exactly what happened. I know that this process has been ongoing for 2 years.
Yeah, but you know that Senator Schumey refused to even thought you were so unqualified that he refused to even allow the Judiciary Committee to consider you. Isn't that correct?
I do not know what Senator Toomey's reasons were. So
You've never talked to Senator Toomey about it?
I never discussed it with Senator
And you
Toomey,
don't
no.
know anything about a blue slip being withheld on you?
I do not know.
You're under oath.
I am under oath, and I know I did not speak with Senator Toomey about his reasons for not.
Was Senator Toomey's concern that you were unqualified?
Again, Senator, I did not speak with Senator Toomey or his staff about his reasons.
Senator John Kennedy has become synonymous for one thing in Washington. He asks questions that politicians don't want to answer. And in 2 separate Senate hearings, he did exactly that. First, he confronted LGBTQ advocates over a controversial issue that sparked debates across America. Who gets to decide what material is appropriate for children in public schools? Kennedy did not start with a political argument. He started by reading actual passages. He read excerpts from books like Gender Queer, All Boys Aren't Blue, and these contain sexually explicit material for minors. Then he asked the question that became the center of this entire exchange: who should have the final say? Should it be parents? Should it be school officials? The witnesses argued that removing books can become a slippery slope and that decisions should be made by individual parents imposing their views on every student. If a book contains graphic sexual material, why should parents have no say in whether their own children have access to it? This debate touches on a much, much older American principle. Parents have historically been viewed as the primary people responsible for raising their children. From education to healthcare decisions to moral instruction, the role of parents has always been central. The disagreement is over where the authority ends and where the public institutions begin, and that's why this issue has become so politically explosive, because both sides say they're protecting children. The question is, who gets to define what protection actually looks like? If you ask me, parents have the utmost authority to do whatever the heck they want with their children. It is their blood. Kennedy bring the heat once again, and this time the issue wasn't even books. It was legal decisions. Kennedy went through a long list of cases where this judge had recommendations or rulings that were later reversed, rejected, or not even adopted by higher courts. He cited cases involving issues like qualified immunity, habeas petitions, and other legal questions where appellate courts disagreed with her reasoning entirely. When confirming a lifetime federal judge, senators have a responsibility to look closely at a nominee's record. Power should always come with scrutiny, because in a democracy, the people who make the biggest decisions should never be above being asked the toughest questions around. They often say that if you want to know who rules over you, find out who you cannot question. And just to exemplify that point even more, just think about the news. How often that they criticize Donald Trump, but they never did anything about Joe Biden, despite there being a freaking mountain of evidence against him. It really exposes the deep state entirely, if you ask me. But yeah, let me know your thoughts on this down below. What do you think of Senator Kennedy here?
All right, you guys. I hope that it looks like that was an important one. Come on. Chico getting up. The one to end the show with. So the last 2 days we had a lot of great stuff. My view for today is I can't believe it's at 188 so far already, you guys. A lot of people are starting to come back to my channel, so that's good to see everybody's finding my channel again. And the trolls, what Andrew was saying, yep, when you tell the truth, that's when they come. So we got all the big stuff out today again. I couldn't get to my shorts. Hopefully we can do the short videos tomorrow. But today is, I think Mel has. Thanks, Maria. Love ya, everybody. Yeah, I just decided to do one long show, not two shows. So, but yeah, we'll have a long one. We'll go maybe 5 o'clock. We'll probably start at 5 tomorrow. I know everybody will be outside, summertime outside and everything. So, unless something breaks, like I say every day, if anything comes up, any breaking news, hopefully it'll be all small videos tomorrow. 2 days in a row with big videos. But yeah, Angie. But Mel has her Financial Friday tonight. I hope it's not 2 hours. I have a feeling it might be 2 hours when she has a big show like that with the financial stuff. So everybody have a great weekend, and about 5 o'clock tomorrow. And thanks, Moz. We got a couple trolls in here today, and Carol, Lucy, Kim, Angle, and KK must have been what? No. I don't know if you can see it. Are you on Telegram, Maria? I wish I can get your password. If you get your Gmail, so I can get try to reach you somehow. I'm try my first phone. My name on Telegram. See if you can find me. But if you can Gmail me, somehow I can reach you. Try to get that password for the Gmail, and so you can get a hold of K on the phone and everything. We can do get a hold of everybody. If anybody wants to contact me on the phone or whatever, and stay in touch, just let me know, and I'll drop my Gmail in, and I gotta delete it right away though. Whoever needs it, and what do you say, Chico? Huh? What are you doing? Yeah, this weather is kind of weird. It's like cold, hot, cold. So he had a good day at the park today, though. He ran pretty good. You gonna say bye to your cousins, huh? Ariella and Bella? 2 Bellas. Michelle's Bella. Yeah, you got 2 Bellas. All right. God bless everybody. Love all. Remember, please hit the like. Stay safe, stay strong, keep faith, never give up. And we'll see you tomorrow evening around 5 or so, unless I change my mind like I always do. And Chico News signing off. See you guys tomorrow.